Gokura Kugai. What the hell was the manga that Bob sent me? What was it again? The hell is this? A bright, bustling, working-class district with a hidden dark side in this area. Without order, Tao and Alma work as troubleshooters for hire. Their missions involve helping a young boy find his lost friend, a person who disappears without a trace, transfigured animal corpses. All the wild, evil spirits who live in the shadows bring about... okay, whatever. Let's separate this. Yo, how is every single one of you? How are you guys? You gotta read the new One Piece chapter. It's amazing. 1 second, please. Let me just post it on the server. Everyone, I'm live. And then let me look up. 1 second, guys. Hey, what's up, guys? The audio isn't off, by the way. I just gotta go take care of something real quick. I'll be back in like 2 minutes. Sorry about the wait, guys. Sorry about the wait. I did not leave chat to eat beans. God damn. I had to go set up an entire... thing. My bad. Okay, here we are. Sorry about that. Sorry about the wait. Okay, so how's everybody doing today? I hope you guys are all doing good. I've had a bit of a tiring week, a little bit. I've been good. I spent all of Monday. You guys have no idea. I spent all of Monday, literally from like the moment I woke up, to like the moment, basically that I fell asleep. Why didn't you respond to my DM, you bum? What DM? I'm sorry, Six. I'm not gonna lie, I fell asleep basically right afterwards. I can wait until next week if you want, but what day specifically? So Six, so Friday, if that still works for you, I can definitely work next week, any day besides probably Monday. So, okay, let's just, hey, what's up, One Smart? So, okay, let's just first of all do a little bit of like upkeep, right? 1 second, guys. Okay, so let's just do a couple things, right? So this week, we were supposed to have a stream tomorrow, but we were supposed to have a stream tomorrow, specifically where our moderator and one of our favorite power scalers, Six, was supposed to do a... Thank you so much, One Spot. I really do appreciate that. You prefer to do it Tuesday or Wednesday as early as possible? That also works. So we were supposed to have a special stream tomorrow where Six, our Black Clover scaler, is going to debate anyone who would like to come into chat and have a discussion with him about where they think Black Clover scales. I will probably just be like in the background of that, just throwing in questions in there and every now and then. Not really more so like a full-on debates or anything, but just if anybody wanted to, tackle in some Black Clover power scaling, you were more than welcome to. If you had any discrepancies with any of his scaling or anything like that, we were supposed to do that tomorrow, but I have a bit of a situation. Long story short, there's a birthday tomorrow that is very important that I do have to take care of. I have to essentially go out and get like a present, do a couple things here and there, do a bunch of stuff. Technically it's for Saturday, but I do need to take at least a portion of my day tomorrow to do that, and I don't think I'm gonna have the time. How are you? By the way, someone's actually did use the "it's wrong because it's French" argument. That's completely fine, Memento. I was expecting people to do it. Do you know the YouTuber Zeta? If so, do you agree with his GT takes? I don't have takes on GT to begin with. I don't personally really know what GT scales to. Let's look that person up real quick. Zeta power scaling, I'm going to type in. I'm assuming it's this individual. Is this Zeta? Zeta instantly destroys toxic DBS fans on DBS versus GT Goku? Sure, we can check out a little bit of this. Okay. So, well, just for starters, I don't really have an opinion on GT. Just, it's not canon, therefore I don't care. Or at least it's not canon to the main continuity, therefore I don't care. I don't really know. Do you guys admit that Discord prank was a fail or not? I don't personally know, because that was all Lapis. I kind of got a little bit paranoid at some point. I was like, yo, what the fuck is going on? What do you mean the Discord server's been hacked? Even though he told me about it, like, or at least he mentioned it like about an hour prior or something like that. I've just been fried lately. But anyway, I can't do a stream tomorrow. I'll probably do a stream, I'll probably do streams next week. We will get back to, can be argued to be canon. It definitely can be argued if you just completely ignore Super, though. It's one of those things where it's like, I find it funny how half the disagreement comments are, I get what you're saying, but nah. Oh yeah, no. The comments are funny. GT can definitely be argued to be canon, especially since it takes place after Super. The only real issue is that it wasn't necessarily written, I think, by Toriyama, but since Toei technically owns Dragon Ball and not Toriyama, from my understanding, who actually owns Dragon Ball? Let me look that up real quick. Who actually owns Dragon Ball? Who currently owns Dragon Ball? Shueisha. It's a partnership between Shueisha and Bird Studio, Akira Toriyama's company, and Toei, the animation studio. I think, yeah, Toriyama's the creator, but the publishing, the animation and media, okay. So, it's partially owned. So, if you want to argue that if Shueisha and Toei were the ones who put out GT, you can technically argue it as canon. Had heavy involvement and it's in the official timeline for canon. Yeah, but I think the official timeline, I think you're is the official timeline that you're referencing, did that come out after Super? Because I think that might be like a bit of a retcon thing if it came after Super. I don't fucking know, dude. I don't really care. Listen, GT to me, by all intents and purposes, was mid as fucking hell. Besides not Gear 4, Super Saiyan 4. The only time I ever remember tuning in as a child to watch GT is if there was Super Saiyan 4 on the screen. Everything with Pan, Trunks, and Shadow Dragon Balls, all that shit, I didn't care at it at all. Everyone was there to see Super Saiyan 4. But that's besides the point. I just remember also thinking, like, why is Goku a kid? But listen, I don't personally care. I don't care where it scales. I just know that, A, Super's probably really fucking strong. I don't know if GT outscales it. I don't personally care either. So, we can't do a stream tomorrow. I was able to put the video out on Monday, by the way, but real talk, I basically spent like 8 hours editing that shit, and then about an extra 4 hours having to re-render it twice, because there was like an issue with the version that I put out for members, which I'm really sorry about. I also didn't get the thumbnail in time. The dude that's making for it, that was making it, is... we're still gonna get it. I'm still gonna swap it, but personal stuff, so I didn't really bother chiming into that. So if you guys see that the thumbnail isn't anything crazy, that's because I had to like spruce one up at 11 p.m. after being really tired. I'm sorry about that. It was VC. Okay. Debated someone on multi plus Black Clover and he folded immediately. Oh, okay, that's pretty funny. At work, the S rematch later. Okay. What's next on the list? Okay, so next on the list, I'm not exactly sure. There was a conversation that I did think about having. There was a video that I potentially thought about making, specifically about, what's next in terms of content. We will be going back to Naruto versus Luffy. I do still need to read through the entirety of, did it need to be like an hour long? It kind of did, though. If you want to cover every single ninja or shinobi that would likely come up, you have to first be able to talk about not only everyone prior, but you also have to establish some speed scaling. You have to establish where loss scales. That takes time in and of itself. And then it goes into, like, essentially making arguments for every major jutsu that would cause a problem and every character that could potentially be an issue or every character that anybody would bring up. I had to talk about the 4 Hokage. I have to talk about the Shinobi Alliance. I have to talk about, because the Shinobi Alliance essentially encompasses every single character within the context of, you know, every single, let's just say, the mortal characters. The guys that aren't special. The people that, you know, were not born to be, Ninja Jesus, Nepo babies, so to speak. I think Zeta's the guy who thinks Cell beats Metal Sonic. If you're gonna watch the Zeta video, watch Sonic versus Cell. You know what's crazy? I didn't... By the way, yeah, W precog. I did not actually watch that versus battle, so I can probably watch the versus battle first. If you guys want, I can watch the versus battle first. By the way, what's up, Jake? I saw your comment from earlier. Eon on the bunny call right now while eating beans. And that's a 10-minute timeout. Did you know that Oda decided to make Mihawk decided that Mihawk would fold people like Shanks? Type shit, yeah, because he's got a black blade. Right? That's the reason. I won my first 2 real VC debates on Outer Goku and Multi-Asta. Nice, 6. Proud of you, man. Good shit. Don't really know much about Sonic Verse, but I would assume Metal is stronger. There's a lot of stuff. We did check out the latest video is wrong. I'm not going to say why it is, but just know it's wrong. If you're not going to tell me why it's wrong, if you're not going to tell me why it's wrong, then I have no reason to entertain that, by the way. This is just nothing burger. The Sonicverse does scale to actually very absurd tiers, depending on how you choose to interpret some stuff. And Bob, actually, I pulled it up here. I checked out a couple of pages from the couple of pages from the first chapter, but dude, I went back to bed. So for context, so again, back to this week. Did a whole bunch of editing, yes, Monday. I tried to take Tuesday off, but I really couldn't. I had to basically go do a bunch of adulting things. Supermarket runs, bank, cleaning around the house, just a bunch of stuff that ended up taking basically my day up until like 8, 9 p.m. Wednesday, I had to finish up some of the stuff that I was still doing here. And, what? Oh, yeah, and I also had to get ready because my girlfriend and I were gonna go watch the Mario movie with a couple friends. My friend got it for like the first day of, so. Yeah, that was a thing. By the way, the Mario movie, absolutely fantastic. If anybody wasn't sure if they were gonna go watch it or if anybody hasn't checked it out yet, I would say please go watch the Mario movie. Listen, I might have my issues with Nintendo, but I promise you the movie was well fucking worth it. At least in my opinion, definitely better than Sonic 3, and I say that as a big Sonic fan. But mostly just cause, well, I mean, okay, I'll put it like this. Because the pacing of the Mario movie, in my opinion, was blazing fast, but it was also kind of consistent. With Sonic, I was like, this shit's kind of all over the place. But, yeah, the Mario movie was great. They actually did a... Really? It was not buns. I disagree with that. I thought that... If I'm gonna be honest with you, I thought that they did some very interesting lore drops. I like the kind of the takes that they did with Bowser, even though towards the end I feel like he folded a little too easy. I'm not gonna spoil exactly what, just you guys will see what I mean if you do watch it. I thought that Mario and Luigi's work around the Mushroom Kingdom was actually very... It was very flavorful, and obviously it was just a lot of things that you can definitely pick up from the games. Obviously it is a Mario movie after all. I like how they could set up a potential Smash movie like 10 years down the line if we get one, ever, or like 5 years down the line if we ever get one. I just liked everything about it for the most part. Isn't that done by Illumination and not Nintendo? Yeah, but the IP is Nintendo and I have issues with Nintendo. It was entertaining. Yeah, I liked it more than the first one as well. I thought the first one was fantastic. I think the second one was great. The Sonic face completely dodged me and anyone I know. Maybe we weren't as autistic. I was definitely autistic with Sonic. I was definitely the Sonic kid. I was definitely rolling around at the speed of sound. I remember like telling my mom, especially around the time when GameStop still sold GameCube games, like just before they stopped. Like, yo, we gotta go to... I want to go to GameStop. I want to get Sonic Adventure 2. I want to get Sonic Adventure DX. Because those are games that my brother had growing up that I never got a chance to play, and he sold her GameCube. Am I voicing Sandbag? No, Sandbag is its own entity that exists outside of the laws of time and space, and he simply shows up to help me out with my videos because he feels bad that I'm a broke, degenerate YouTuber. That's why Sandbag shows up. So real quick, I will be checking out Centuria. I can actually read a couple chapters here if you guys want. But, it didn't seem bad to me. I did read this out. This wasn't bad for sure. I just knocked out. So today I had to actually wake up like... I had to wake up quite a bit early, actually. I didn't get a chance to really fall asleep too early last night. Was up by like 7 a.m. I got like maybe 3-4 hours of sleep. Maybe 5 from like the moment I stopped looking at my watch. But, or I guess my phone. But, I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I had to go pick up my family at the airport, earlier, that whole, like, pause at the start of the stream where you guys didn't really hear from me. That was me helping them out with something. So I had to go, I basically had to, like, drive around my family for, like, a little bit. It wasn't anything crazy. We didn't do a lot, but, like, by the time I got home, I just had to go back to sleep. Yeah, no, I'm willing to give it a try, Bob. I really appreciate it. I'm not really reading anything right now, so besides like One Piece and what's this other fuck ass series? Kengan Omega. I'm not really reading much else. So yeah, we can definitely check it out, man. Let's pull up. Oh wait, I think I could just look it up actually. One Piece TCB. Loki, you and Netanyahu would be great buds. Who's Netanyahu? Netanyahu. I'm gonna assume... I thought you were talking about a fucking YouTuber, not a goddamn political person. Panic in Israel hours after his speech can no longer threaten. Alright. I'm just gonna... I don't know what the fuck this is supposed to mean. I'm just gonna remove it. Was handled so much better in the second movie than the first. I really enjoyed how Luigi was portrayed in the second movie more. I really did appreciate that. I'm not the biggest Green Mario fan, but I do appreciate that he wasn't just like doing... yeah, Sandbag exists outside of time and space, but he can still be affected by people within the within three-dimensional spaces. Law got his heart crushed by Virgo. Yes, because Virgo had it in his hand. Because Law gave his heart to someone else. It's not like Virgo could have just taken it out of Law's chest, you know? Grown men watching Mario movies? Get the fuck out. Dude, we were basically like the oldest people in the theater. We were just a bunch of like near 30-year-old dudes and like two of our girlfriends just sitting there just watching the Mario movie. And I think like everybody else was like just a couple of like... I at least saw like one Rosalina and Peach cosplayer. I saw like some Rosalina and Peach cosplayers. Like they were nice. They had pretty nice outfits. And it was basically, but the movie theater, it was basically just us and like a bunch of like teenagers. There were really no kids in that movie as far as I can recall. That would be a contradiction since he's outside of time and space as he's not bound by it. Yes, but Sandbag told me so, and he is affected by characters. So what do you want me to tell you? Sandbag, no, Sandbag is not outer. He can be affected by people from the third and second dimension as well. Sandbag is definitely not outer. You guys know I'm near 30. I told you guys I was closer to my 30s than I was to my 20s. 27 is near 30. Fucking 26 is near 30. Rockley was walking off his organs being crushed. No, he was not. No, he was not. You're so objectively wrong. It's not even funny. What the fuck organ got crushed? What Rockley organ got crushed? Dude, we're already starting with the bullshit. God, you gotta love it. Now would be a good time to insert ads. Did I leave the ad thing, like, manual? Oh, the automator isn't up. I'll put it automatic for you guys. Do you think Emu's scaling higher than any Bleach character ever written? I don't think Bleach scales that high, but I'll give you about a large planetary, so sure. Not yet. I don't think so. I think any Bleach character ever written would be a bit of like an outlier for me because I haven't read everything in Bleach, considering that there are light novels out there. Keep reading your mids. Bro mad because he's just wrong. Bro mad because he's wrong. That's crazy. Imagine being mad because somebody made a video that they could back up with evidence and you're sitting here just upsetty spaghetti. Making up random BS. They got his limbs crushed, not organs. Read your own story. That's what I'm saying. I gotta see your opinion on the chapter. Okay. Great Emu. Did I hear you correctly? The Holy Land of Mary Joie. Oh, by the way, you can still see some of the ruins here from the damage that people done. Is Star now due to Loki dragon size estimates? I don't agree with the Loki size estimates, but yeah, I mean, it's fair. Sure. If there was one thing I would remove from the power scaling would be the dimensionality. Look, this guy's 3D being suddenly jumps to an arbitrary number D. Physicists would cry. Yeah. Seems like Garling is the leader of the Gorosei, so Garling over Warcury logically. I think he's just telling them to fucking relax. I don't know. Let me see. Surely you intend to. Surely you don't intend to actually visit Elbaf. Please reconsider for you to descend to the lower realm. This is no time for idleness. How long can the Holy Land possibly be defended under these circumstances? Garling, Shamrock's return seems to have helped quell matters, but we were arrogant to think we could easily stop the lower realm dwellers from using starvation tactics against us. What good are leaders who can't even keep their own troops fed? By the way, I just want to say it's kind of crazy that they're actually humanizing only the Celestial Dragons. Like, obviously, it's within character for Celestial Dragons to say that Celestial Dragons are, you know, being kept up. But, like, dude, come on now. This shit is kind of crazy. Here's an interesting question. Does Law solo Boruto? I still don't fully understand how Damon's abilities work because I keep saying both ends of like the argument of like they either do reflect when he's touching, they don't reflect when he's touching. He has to touch you in order for it to reflect on another person. I don't fucking know, dude. I'm just gonna assume if Law doesn't have If Law doesn't have any killing intent when he uses room amputate, nothing stopping him from affecting Damon. I don't know. Damon's kind of like the only issue, because everybody else loses to the speed difference. Damon is quite literally the only issue I can think of. Everybody else is basically free game. Ada is also not as powerful as people seem to think she is. She's kind of trash, and I'm starting to think that that at least every single Ten-Tails clone that isn't Jura, every single Ten-Tails clone that isn't Jura is just absolute garbage. I'm genuinely convinced every single Ten-Tails clone that isn't Ada specifically is dog shit. But anyway. All he has to do is look at her. I mean, not really. What does that matter? Like, what? He's gonna fall in love with her? He can still attack her. Gojo and his infinity? I don't know about that. What do you think about Shibai versus Law? Shibai is not a character to me right now. They are simply stated to have some abilities. I have nothing to go off of. I have a silhouette and nothing to go off of. For the same reasons that I haven't properly scaled Emu yet, I am not going to scale Shibai until I see Shibai in character, and I see Shibai actually do stuff. Wouldn't still be stalemated with Ada? Not really. What's stopping him from attacking Ada? What exactly is stopping him? It's not like Ada's a powerhouse in any way, shape, or form. It just says, you're attracted to me now. You're in love with me. You can't attack me. Boa Hancock basically has the same thing, except with her is physical. She doesn't need a special power for it. Is debilitating love specifically a defense against being attacked? It's one of Shibai's hacks for that purpose. Well, throw her in there, sure, but I don't think she beats him either, so call it a stalemate. Can't touch Ada. Code? Why not Code? What's stopping him from doing Code and Shikamaru? Code Shikamaru couldn't attack... Oh, Code Shikamaru and Delta couldn't attack Ada. Ah, got it. Sure, fine. So I guess it's a stalemate between Damon and Ada, because I don't think they can beat him either. At this point, it's just trust me bro type character. Exactly. I don't really care for characters like that. It's like, I don't know, man. It's like Zeno. Not even Zeno, because Zeno did blow up a universe. It's like... What's another character I could bring up as an example? Let me think. What's a character that's basically just all lore? I guess maybe like, what's her face? The lady from, Elden Ring? What's her face? Marika. I guess it's like, kind of like Marika then. Yeah, he's a hacks merchant. I think it's like Marika then, right? Marika's supposed to be a god or whatever. Quite literally slashes space. How would that not hit him? I don't know. Like Damon reflects amputate. Can Law undo it? Yeah, he can undo his own amputates. He just puts himself back together. It says amputate. Yeah, Marika. Or God from One Punch Man. Okay, like God from One Punch Man is a good... Thank you, Duponazon. Thank you. Yeah, think of it like God from One Punch Man. Until I see God actually do some shit, I wouldn't try to scale God at all. But that's just me. To be fair, TBF verse versus verse, Tot Musica negs... To be fair, verse versus verse, Tot Musica negs Shibai? That's crazy. He hasn't done anything, yeah. The difference is Boa's ability can be resisted or negated. Ada's cannot. Okay, that's fair. That's actually fair. Okay, I'll concede that then. If Ada can't be attacked by anyone, fair. But then I think it's just a stalemate then, because I don't think Ada or Damon have the stats to actually fight Law. It's kind of just one of those cases where Law just constantly just dodges them. Yeah, that one's just that one's probably just a stalemate. But anyway, it's literally Naruto Ball Z with aliens and future and shit. Yeah, Nico, we don't even fully know if Nika has an actual individual the same way Luffy and Ko are. That's also another good point. There's also, like, Joy Boy. For example, like, Joy Boy. Joy Boy, like, people put Joy Boy at, like, top 1 of the verse. Yeah, but that's because he has a Rinnegan, right? That's because he's, like, a Ten-Tails Shinju tree or whatever. Something like that. Yeah, it just gives more context. I wouldn't say details, but did you see? Okay, so... Just to be clear, I know about how Emu looks. There are people on other social media sites who are not you people who go out of their way to spoil and post things as soon as possible. So, yeah, it kind of creates a situation where, like, yeah, I just know what Emu looks like. He is literally a narrative rat. Okay, this is no time for idleness. By the way, okay, let's just move on. Our priority should be rallying the military might needed to assert global dominance, even the former Navy HQ, But up. I sit off the internet until the Raws come out. Not gonna lie, yeah, I gotta just get rid of. I don't. You know what's crazy? I think I just have to get out of every single like power scaling group and other thing that I'm in on like every single social media site. Like I'm just tired of this shit, man. I don't like spoilers, and people really do just go out of their way to spoil it. I can only mute so many people for so long. Garling, where's the food? There's no way for this is no way for a celestial dragon to live. I told you. I thought I told you, York. The Holy Land is currently facing a food shortage. Do you know one of the things that might break this deadlock? The Mother Flame. If you truly wish to live like a celestial dragon, hurry and produce energy! I'm hungry. This wasn't part of the deal. Some might claim the original Vegapunk was aligned with this rebellion. Consider this your penance. Ugh. One disaster after another, and it all started after Nika resurfaced. Are we to write this off as mere coincidence, or was it all of that inevitable? In any case, Great Emu, you should not leave Pangea Castle. Allow us to dispatch Navy Admirals to Elbath instead. That won't do. Consider all the other incidents that have arisen. Our hands are tied. In that case, we must once again... Warchery! This is no mere coincidence. Arrogance, idleness, negligence, pride, thou must cast aside these follies at once. All this was inevitable. I'll be back. Seek it out. It appears that Neptune has had a daughter. The devil fruit was stolen. Is something unforeseen lurking on Elbath? We have intel on the fog ship's captain. His name is Loki. He is Harold's son. Why would Whitebeard protect that young man? Who is he? Monkey D. Ruffy, and that one, Marsharu D. Teach, Nefertari D. Riri, Joy Boy, Davy Jones, will thou keep making Moose suffer? Retrieve. Vivi. It was all set into motion long, long ago. Great Emu! The Holy Land shall be left in all thine hands. Great Emu, if you go to the surface world, we have no authority to forbid this. But, Great Emu, if you leave this castle, it is not our place to question this. The Great One is fully aware of the consequences. No one can stop them. Hajuden! Stanson! Oh no, it's her. Check it out! One of the demons was trying to pull himself back together once, so I... Gwa! Screw you! Don't you dare mess with me! He's still alive in the state. Look! It's like a magnet. Freaky. You're the real freak! They called you Gerd? I'll remember that. I swear I'm gonna give you a gruesome death. I think you should take a look at this too, Desu. Thump, thump, dum, dum, dum. A steel heart? I wonder, if I destroy this, would you still be able to patch himself back up? Interesting. I was thinking about this. Is like maybe the Covenant actually like some form of when we saw the heart last time, I did think it looked a little bit like metal. I thought it was like a little bit strange that the heart was like, you know, colored differently than a normal heart. We didn't obviously see like this little gauge here, but it could probably be something that had to do with like maybe the ancient kingdom's technology. It is said that like in certain to certain civilizations, if technology were to evolve enough to a point, technology might even seem like magic to certain civilizations. Hang in there, Usopp. Hang in there, Usopp. Brooke, all your bones are busted. Want me to turn you guys into cyborgs? Where's Chopper? I won't forgive your name. I won't forget your name, Sanji. You better remember mine. I already forgot it. Someone froze the school? Not quite. Its thermal energy was absorbed. Well, this is a bust. All the school's lunch supplies are rock solid and tasteless now. Food. We should give some to Usopp and the others. Focus on getting yourself back to normal first. That person you froze earlier, are they dead? It was a flash freeze, so they won't die, but they can only be thawed out by Ragnar here. They won't be able to escape at any rate, so don't sweat it. Chitty-chitty! Yeah. Huh? What? Yeah! Okay, massive lightning blasts forming around all of Elbaf. What in the world is that? The smoke cloud looks weird. What? Look at the sky. Is that a magic circle? Everybody, come quick. What is that rumbling? I'm right by your side, Nami Swan. Dron, 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 dron. Do-ro-ro-do. Do-ro-ro-ro. Oh, wow, the houses. What the heck? Is that a weird? Whoa! Do-do-do-do. Bo-do-do-do. Cough. Doom-do-dum-dum. Doom-do-dum-dum. The forest trees, too. Is this another one of their abilities? Dun 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 dun. Do 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 do. That's Conqueror's hockey. Holy shit, the kids were put out. It's coming from the castle. Hey, isn't this the same hockey from before? Ugh. Spit. Splat. Who is that? The Great One? Don't tell me. He came here in person? Look, there's someone on the castle spire! World Government Creator. One of the first 20 ability. Devil's Fruit. King of the world. Saint Nerona. Emu! It's Emu! Yeah, they're getting KO'd all arc is crazy. That's what I'm saying, bruh. Alright, first of all, let's get this out of the way. Some things to note that maybe some of you didn't notice. The black flame clouds have eyes on them, similar to biblically accurate angels. Specifically, biblically accurate Ophanim. Kind of like a biblically accurate Ophanim. This couldn't... So, there's a couple of things we have to take care of from the very start of the series. From the very start of the chapter, I mean. We finally got a girl in One Piece that's close to her age. Imu's a guy, first of all. Second of all, if you're referencing any woman possibly near my age, besides obviously Nami, because she's also in her 20s, as am I, Gerd. 100% Gerd. Listen, Gerd, step on me. Stomp on me. Put her full weight. I'm the kind of guy that would tell Gerd to 100,000% just put her full weight on me. Just sit on my face, and if I don't get up, I'm fine. Anyway. Really? Now? That's dope. Better than X-Ax's design for an angel. Yeah. Gerd is 80, bro? She's 26 in human years, alright? She's 26 in human years. I'm chillin'. I'm chillin' personally. Discarib. Discarib, sorry. I'm personally chillin'. Okay. One admiral is equal to 5 Gorosei in the chapter. No, the fuck they are not, but sure. So the Gorosei, so I find it interesting that the Gorosei were essentially willing to send the basically Navy HQ all the way just to try and deal with like the situation that's happening in Elbaf. And to be fair, I guess it is kind of warranted. I mean, sending out 3 admirals, maybe even having to send the fleet admiral in there just to try and fight the giants. Like, the best you're really arguing here is that like a couple of the vice admirals are maybe... A couple of the vice admirals are, like, maybe helping fight a couple of the giants, but I mean, they have to basically fight the entirety of the giant, of the new giant pirates, plus the giant warrior pirates, plus, you know, Dory and Broggy, now that they're getting everything back to normal, like, yeah, no, I'm sorry, 3 admirals are not just dealing with all of that, plus Luffy, plus Loki, yeah, no, they're not dealing with all of that. It was actually better, I would have said. I would have personally have thought to myself that, like, actually sending all 5 Gorosei in there would have been a good ploy on them, personally. But Emu going in there on his own was actually a twist that I wasn't exactly expecting. I mean, obviously, where's the evidence for 1 Admiral for 5 Gorosei? They're Admiral stance. Tojo is an Admiral stance, just ignore them. They're just gonna say it. So, I would have said that, like, yeah, maybe the Gorosei would have been a better attack on Elbaf. Granted, it would have been interesting, at least for me, to see how Warcury and Venus Juro stack up at this point. But you know what? We're fine. I think that Emu showing up at this point, if you guys recall last week when we were speaking about One Piece and whether or not we were going to get a reveal for Emu, if you guys recall, I was hoping that we would get a reveal for Emu. This arc, unfortunately, we got it actually within Elbaf itself and not just Emu sort of appearing from, like, let's say, from the shadows, right? I think it's actually very interesting to see Oda finally reveal Emu through and through. I think it's an interesting decision to actually have the main villain of the story basically show up at this point. We don't know how close we are to the end of the series, but this does now kind of create a bit of a scenario where now we might have Emu being the the overarching villain for the next couple of arcs. And it also does create a scenario where Luffy, of all people, now has a chance to fully meet up with this character and actually deal with them. Something I also wanted to notice is that Emu seems to have 2 tails. One of them actually resembling that of a serpent, in my opinion. I might be wrong on this, but this does kind of seem like a snake's head to me. Drake, thank you so much for the 10 months. Technically, it'd be like 2 or 3 admirals equal to all 5. Nah, I would say 3. There's no way you're gonna convince me that 3 guys with regular Logia abilities, I guess 2 guys with Logia abilities and 1 with a Paramecia, are gonna compare to guys who are immortal, who all have advanced Conqueror's Haki, and could literally outscale Kaido in terms of durability. I'm sorry. I'm just not entertaining any idea that any of the admirals, especially all 3 combined, are an equal force to the Gorosei. Especially when they're like the actual main villains. Yeah, I think that's a bit of cope. But anyway, something I also wanted to notice about Emu's design. If you notice right here, Emu does have wings. They might be covered in right now, but Emu, just look at it from this perspective. Dark skin, white hair, pretty fucking good looking, all things considered. I wasn't expecting Emu to look like this. We don't see a flame behind yet, but there is some conversations. I thought it was only Warcury. I think all of them had it. Let me look that up real quick. We've definitely only seen Warcury use it, though. Gorosei, One Piece. Mars definitely also is a Conqueror's Haki user because he put out all the transponder snails. Yeah, he has Supreme King Haki. He was able to put down the transponder snails by walking along. Yeah. What about Venus Juro? Does Venus Juro canonically, has it shown it yet? Covenant, Abyss, Immortality, Telepathy, Haki is one of the few people in the world with all 3 forms of Haki. Extremely powerful, his arrival accompanied with lightning. Supreme King is one of the few people. What's the source for this? 17... 11, 17. Let's look that up real quick. No. I need the colorless. I need colorless real quick. And we wanted 117, right? Let's check that out real quick. What if Emu was like a hybrid? I don't know if I would be okay with Emu being a hybrid. I'm kind of hoping if Emu's skin could be red, though, on brand for a devil. If it's red on brand for a devil, hey, I'm all good with that. I think that would actually be really fucking cool, and I actually would prefer him not to be a Lunarian. But I think Lunarian can also make sense from the perspective that... that Emu would also be considered one of the greatest forms of humanity and would also already have a... What the fuck was it that it said? It said, Black lightning erupted from the condition, typically. Oh, so it's just referencing the collision that he had with Zoro. It's referencing this as like a Conqueror's Hockey Blast for Venus Juro. I'm not sure if that necessarily necessitates it, because we also know that, like, regular armament hockey can emit streaks of lightning. Hockey, 3 forms of hockey, like the rest of the 5 elders. No, that's not that. Hockey. Other sensed, was sensed. I'm not, okay. We know, at least visibly, we know that Mars and Warcury have Conqueror's Hockey, so I'm just going to go under the assumption that, like, all of them do. I think it would be kind of weird if only some of them don't, but I think it'll be fine if they do. Generally called Oda misogynist because Emu isn't a woman on Reddit. But yeah, I mean, people are stupid. I'm just, you can just boil it down to that. What can Law do against Izanami and Izanagi? Izanami is a genjutsu, completely irrelevant to the conversation. Izanagi only works if the character specifically gets killed. It is a jutsu that needs setup time because they need to make the hand signs. So anybody that wants to use Izanagi would already lose because of speed, A, and B, Law doesn't kill. He doesn't have to kill. He just cuts them up into pieces. That's literally it. Advanced Conquerors. Dude, they've got Conqueror's Hockey. I'm pretty sure they can have Advanced Conquerors. These are the final villains. I think it's fine. It's called Akuma no Mi, which is basically just Satan. Yeah, I actually did have the, I already had the assumption from a while ago, specifically from the chapter where we first see Emu, take over, what's her face? No, it's definitely after this. What the fuck am I doing? It's definitely after this. Where Emu took, Gunko's body. We know that, let's see. Where the hell is I need the chapter where, like, Gunko's body gets taken over. Yeah, it's a couple chapters after this, then. What the fuck happened to Robin, by the way? Thought we were gonna see her do something. Okay, there we go. After I saw this specifically right here, I immediately just, how he does nothing besides his attacks blocked. What are we talking about? What else does Warcury have above Kaido besides your ability? Just your ability. Just your ability. Thank you, Nacho. I really appreciate it. Emu maybe have all Devil Fruit abilities. I don't think it's that crazy either. I think that Emu likely has the Devil's Fruit, which essentially turns him into a demon, whereas Nika is a god. I think it sort of then creates a parallel where, in the same vein as how Nika makes the world around him dance on its own by turning it into rubber, Emu actually made the surrounding buildings not only become coated in his hockey, but he basically brought everything into life. This is actually something even very close to what Big Mom does with her Devil Fruit, in the sense that he's essentially bringing all of these objects, including, well, the trees are already technically alive, but, like, the trees, the houses, everything that was an inanimate object is now animated completely. And it also, if you guys have noticed, they also create a sound beat, right? So it could actually have a similarity with Nika, maybe the polar opposite of Nika, maybe even a Nightmare Fruit. Because a lot of what we've noticed here is that, like, a lot of the abilities that we've seen so far, obviously there is a Dream Fruit. I think, actually, no, we already seen a Nightmare Fruit, so maybe that's out the window. I don't know, man. It's looking good. Yeah, the design is great. I really do love the design. All of us cannot wait to make Emu breedable. I do not even remotely prescribe to that idea. That is definitely not something that prescribes to me specially. But Emu is a very attractive person. I'm very happy that Emu does not look like a child wearing stilts. I will say that. Blackbeard will steal Emu's Devil Fruit. I think that there's a very good chance that Blackbeard can do it.
And I feel like part of the reason why Blackbeard might lose is because he might not have full power over the fruit yet, because it does take a while to like really get to like really hone a fruit. I think that's the devil's fruit comes from looking like a devil and the power to reinforce contracts, like for instance, eat this fruit and you can no longer swim in exchange for power. Correct, I agree. Do you think the form we're seeing is what Emu actually looks like, or is this a transformation he has? It definitely seems to be an awakened form at the very least. Especially since we have a Hagoromo around Emu. And they do seem to have the black flaming clouds around them that do signify dark, the drums of oppression are no longer Garp's signature. That's what I'm saying. Emu's out here stealing from everybody. He's stealing from Bleach, he's stealing from Boruto, he's got the karma markings, he's got the Rinnegan, he's out here stealing from Garp's, drums of oppression agenda. Like, he's just stealing everything from everybody, man. I don't know. Emu's really... Typical bias your glaze Emu while trashing on Kaguya. What the fuck have I glazed on Emu besides saying Emu is just attractive? What the fuck are we talking about? Jesus Christ, you are coping. Jesus, my guy. I really think that it's sad that you have to find anything whatsoever just to try and say, oh, typical. You're such a bad person, Eon. You're so sad, dude. You are really sad. Maybe Emu has all of the characteristics because he's part of the ancient races from which all other races originate. I think that would be interesting, but I don't know what... I think it would be a little weird, though, for all races to originate from one single race. I don't know if I'm okay. Is Kaguya not attractive? I don't... You could call her pretty. You could definitely say she's attractive. She has fine facial features. I don't personally find her attractive. I think Emu is attractive. I don't personally find him physically attractive, though. I love the skulls on his tail. Yeah, Jesus Christ. Always have to be some kind of a comparison game. And if I said, and mind you, if I said that Kaguya wasn't attractive, that still means nothing. Jesus Christ. Yeah, not wanting to crack Kaguya really shows bias. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to crack Kaguya. Oh man, I guess I must be biased. Jesus Christ. How does he have Rinnegan eyes? People have been saying it over the internet. People are saying because he has a couple of rings in his eye, or I guess I should say like maybe one extra ring right here, and maybe you could see this as a ring, unless that's like, I don't know, maybe this could be like an extra, maybe because you see like two extra rings, people have been comparing it to, people have been comparing Emu to, you know, all that crap. Let's see. Emu design, One Piece. Alright, pirate folks, sure, let's see. Let's see what people are saying over the internets, over the Reddits and the interwebs. Oda, this Oda's most, it feels weird coming from a final villain, the secret leader of a bunch of royals who enslaved the kind freely. He should really have a dark design. What day is it, guys? I don't think it's really edgy due to him having, Emu having a pretty face. It kind of weighs the edge. It doesn't even feel like Oda, like nothing, looks like nothing like his design. Supposedly we got his edgy design was Katakuri, and even that. King Dragon Viper, Boruto-ass design. Let's see. Same thought. I thought it was an original character from Boruto fans. That's crazy. Yeah, people have been comparing it to Boruto all day. I've been noticing people make claims about it, so it's been kind of hard to stay off. Yeah. Not pirate folk. I've never seen the subreddit before. I just clicked on the first link. He literally looks at Tempesta from the Tartarus arc. What character in Fairy Tail looks like this? I don't think he looks like this at all, but sure. Okay, let's see. What else are people saying? What other Reddit sites are people using? The fuck happened here? Oh, Nina isn't, like, we've seen this type of design in other mangas. It looks like he doesn't even belong in One Piece. There you go. Right. People have also been comparing him to Shinra Bansho Man. They've been comparing him to Shinra Bansho Man is another one. Yeah, people have been comparing him to Shinra as well, which I can see. I can definitely see some of the comparisons. I don't think it's bad though. I don't necessarily think it's like terrible, you know. I do like the design though with the extra flame clouds and the extra eyes around him. Also, anybody notice Emu's weapon isn't actually like a pitchfork? I thought that was an interesting choice by Oda. What do you think of the Robin and Mihawk have rings in their eyes after this reveal? Nothing much so far, though I do think it could be interesting to maybe see Robin. I was actually thinking about this before. There's a conversation to actually be had about whether or not there is a potential relationship that maybe even goes by blood, not directly, but maybe down a long line of people of Emu and Robin and Mihawk. So maybe just because of the ring eye. It could just be a visual design by Oda. The ring design for the eyes might have a... Love those 30-second transformations. There is some comparisons to be had between the eyes. You can maybe say that there's like something to do with like Robin and Emu, maybe like a far down lineage. And I think it's kind of interesting of a theory to have, especially since Robin's original moniker was the Devil Child. You know what I mean? So to kind of like put it like this, it's like Robin as a kid, essentially, you know, coming from a family where her mother, let's just look at Robin's mom, by the way. Robin's mother, One Piece. If you guys remember, Robin's mom is consistently portrayed to be darker skinned, and she also has white hair. Darker skinned, white hair. The rings around the eyes, there's a potential lineage factor with Mihawk if you want to go that route, but I think it's just interesting to see the comparison that Robin was deemed the Devil Child for a large majority of her life. Emu is considered the Devil's Fruit user, or he could be considered the Devil's Fruit user. You might be able to make some comparisons. Hey, listen, all I'm saying is, definitely took biblical inspirations for Emu, just like the Fire Force author. There's definitely some biblical inspirations, especially since we also have the Tree of Adam and the Tree of Eve. Oh yeah, did we forget how Robin made her skin red during the Black Maria fight? Correct. That is something else that happened. Robin, Diablo, Fleur, Diablo, Fleur, yeah. Robin also made herself into a giant red demon in similar appearance to Emu with, look at the shape of the horns, it looks like an S. Look at Emu's horns in the shape of an S. I'm just saying, guys, there might be some like legitimate connections here. Yeah, Demonio Flora was never explained right. It was never explained, and we don't know if that's Robin's awakening. It's definitely not implied to be her awakening either. Mind you, these are the same people who were whining hard when Gear 5 wasn't a conventional design, but now they say Emu's too generic. But here's the thing. And this is something that I'm not going to say you guys have to kind of like reinforce, but maybe, you know, try to just take in. People are going to complain about anything no matter what. For example, I saw the Mario movie yesterday, right? I thought it was great. I thought it was fine, but I saw that on Rotten Tomatoes, people were... Not Rotten Tomatoes. A lot of the, like, major news outlets for, like, movies and stuff like that were saying that, like, it's like a 6 out of 10 or whatever. They were saying, like, the movie's bad. You got some people saying that the movie's mid as fuck. I don't agree. It's all about perspective. People are going to find reasons to complain about everything. It doesn't matter how good something is, people are going to find some reasons to complain. I had my girlfriend tell me that, like, New York's mayor... Because that was a whole thing, like, people were, like, mad about, like, the mayor being a Muslim guy, for example. She was telling me how, like, apparently he was gonna make, like, healthcare for, like, New Yorkers be, healthcare for children under the age of 2 in New York. She was gonna try to be, like, free, and I'm like, that's a great thing. She was like, well, many people are complaining because other costs are gonna go up, and I'm like, that's a bad thing. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't matter how good, how fine, how okay, how bad something is. People are either going to look at only the good sides of it, people are going to look at all the bad sides of it, or people are going to go somewhere down the middle where they're just going to try and simplify it down or boil it down to the simplest things possible. It does not matter. Yes, I do think that Emu has 2 tails, and one of them actually reminds me of a serpent's head, which I think would be very, very thematic, especially if he is like a devil. Hey, see you later, Amatsukami. Hope you have a good one, man. Yeah, the critic reviews were like way low, like 30 out of 100, 3 out of 5. It's not that bad. Like, it's like exactly what I expected. It was actually a little bit more than I expected. I had a good time with it, and they even did a little bit of a lore drop that we didn't have at any point before with the Mario movie. All I'm saying is it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's a manga panel. It doesn't matter if it's a sports game. It doesn't matter if it's a celebrity. People are going to complain about something. Something else I actually did want to talk about was how crazy from a power scaling perspective this is right here. Loki, or should I say at least Ragnar, has the ability to absorb thermal energy. This is basically like the laws of thermodynamics. This squirrel right here basically can manipulate the laws of thermodynamics to an extent. I think that's insane. I think that's fucking disgusting. Like, you just gave a giant that is almost 60 meters tall who could turn into a dragon the size of a fucking island. You gave him a squirrel hammer that can just absorb the heat from objects. There was another translation here where he said all the heat was removed. It didn't freeze, all of the heat was removed. No, it's because of the ODC machine from Lilith? I thought it was Ragnar. Oh, wait, that is Lilith. Lilith is the one talking. Oh, my bad. My apologies. You're right. Jake is right. I am wrong. On that 100%. It was Lilith. I keep forgetting she's on the screen. Why the fuck is she here? See you later. It's not like, okay, Lilith did it, not Loki. Let me reiterate, I was wrong. Lilith did it, not Loki. I still think it's crazy though. She just removed the laws of, she just manipulated the laws of thermodynamics to freeze the entirety of the library. That shit is crazy. Could Loki absorb electromagnetic? No, not, sorry, I was wrong on that. My bad. Anyway, I still think that's crazy. Yes, Ragnar can melt the ice. It's basically better than Amaterasu. Or you can at least shatter it. Jesus Christ, Captain Burrow, no one cares. Oh my god, no one cares, dude. Stop spamming the same message. I usually try not to be mean to people, but fucking hell, man, I don't care. People are hyping, you don't like the story, then leave. If you do not like the story, if you think it is mid, then leave. You can believe the story is mid, my guy. You can believe that. You have every right to believe that. You are objectively wrong, though. It is the highest selling manga of all time. It is the best rated manga of all time. If you don't like it, that's fine. Stop coming into people's streams saying, oh, why do people hype this up? And you put up, I'm not putting down other series. What other series did I put down? Dragon Ball? I said I like Super. What the fuck are we talking about here? Jesus Christ, my guy. Is it okay to talk about the chapter? Yes, it is perfectly fine to talk about the chapter. Say whatever you want about it. Say whatever theories you guys have. If you guys have any theories, please let me know. Let me ask you guys this. What are we hoping for? Hoping for the next chapter. Jeez. Yeah. Captain Burrow, how about this? How about you just leave then, dude? I don't care. Nobody cares. Great. Super's coming back. Fantastic. Jesus Christ. You know what? I'm just going to say it. People like you are so sad to me. People like you are genuinely sad to me, my guy. I don't understand how you just internalize a series to such an extent that you go out of your way to have to bring it up when nobody is talking about it anymore and nobody cares, my guy. Nobody genuinely cares. Fantastic. Super's coming back. I'm excited for it. I like the fact that Super's coming back. I just wish it was the Moro arc, my guy. Jesus Christ. People are fucking annoying, man. Nobody cares that Super's coming back. It's not out yet. I'll care about it when it comes out. There you go. Yes, so Emu coming out damage. I do think it actually adds a bit of an interesting limitation for Emu specifically, and this is something that we could definitely talk about in the context of versus battles, which is something that I'll definitely have to consider if we ever plant Emu in any location that isn't necessarily Pangea Castle. Now, there's a couple of ideas that actually started spawning in my head when I actually read the chapter, which were, okay, why is Emu bleeding, right? Why is Emu bleeding, right? It clearly can't be some kind of disease. I don't think it can be some kind of disease, right? What can we rule out for things like this, right? Is it disease? Disease? Probably not, right? Probably not. Can we say it's maybe the use of teleportation? Probably not, right? Teleportation. Probably not, right? I think that actually going back into the chapter, there is a mention right here where I think it was Mars. Mars made a specific statement. Let's see, long ago, Great Emu, we have no authority, but Great Emu, if you leave this castle, it was Warcury, right? Warcury makes a claim right here, and also Jupiter makes a makes claims right here that says, if you leave this castle, Ed, the Great One is awareness of the consequences, which means that Imu must be tied. Imu must have some kind of... Must have some kind of limitation, specifically... potentially a contract that directly binds him to either Pangea Castle, or more importantly, or potentially the Red Line. This is something that had me thinking the entire time about, like, okay, if we're talking about something that's preventing Imu from leaving, there's only two things that at least that we know of within the context of the within the context of Pangea Castle. It has to do more with contracts, because from what I remember, Loki killed Harold. Imu wasn't feeling great and said it took a toll. Let's check that out real quick. Let's check that out very quickly. We'll just open it up here. It doesn't matter. It's probably a disease. The girls say was doing experiments on Ginny. That's potentially true. It was on the red line, which is way high up. You cooked so hard in the latest video, you burnt the leftover beans in my microwave. What the fuck? Sure, I appreciate that. I think the plating is overextending his energy. I think current Imu is injured and needs the Mother Flame to recover to full power. That's an interesting take. I could definitely see that. So it might be something keeping him bound to Mary Jo. I'm thinking it might be something bound to it, personally. I think it's an ability that requires blood, like Chozo's blood manipulation. That's actually not a bad theory, considering that, like, many devils tend to have this theme of signing things in blood. I think it actually could be a potential connection, and it also could make sense to maybe, like, the fluidity of Imu's body, if that makes sense, right? Okay. I think it's supposed to be like this chapter. Let's see. Imu might have sapphire scale disease and can't go out in the sun. But if that were the case, then he would start to crystallize, right? Couldn't he have suffered in the past battle with Joy Boy or Davy? That is also true. There is an instance where we could argue that, for example, a character like Whitebeard and even Shanks have scars from the past that do still hurt them to this day, right? That they still feel damage. And while One Piece revealed its final villain, it's still on its 100th fake out death, allegedly. That's crazy. It can't be the sapphire scales. Because Vegapunk can cure that. That is also true. We got a big-ass stream today. Yeah, we do. Yeah, it's fantastic. Lovely. By the way, anybody who has arrived into the stream, we usually do a couple of these streams a week. It's mostly power scaling related, but if you're interested in any of the One Piece stuff, I can also start to allocate my streams more into, like, One Piece theory crafting and everything. After all, I am reading One Piece for the Naruto versus Luffy video that I'm working on, so we'll hopefully get to that at some point. Imu is a geriatric. He's 800 years old. I assume that he has some form of injury from his fight against Joy Boy. Yeah, this is actually very plausible as well, right? Past damage at the hands of Joy Boy or Davy Jones. Potentially. Maybe. Actually, let's make these a little bit smaller, by the way, just to, like, have a little bit more space. Yeah. What if he's tying himself to his dimension and is actually a higher dimensional being on some Solaris type shit? That's actually not bad. Maybe needs to stay tied to Pangea Castle. If his powers are tied to another dimension / underworld. Imu takes lifespan via Dami Reversa. It might be related to that. That is also true.
Maybe Emu has problems entering countries not part of the world government. That could actually be interesting. That's actually an interesting take, and I do actually want to kind of focus on this a little bit because we know for a fact that Emu had to make a covenant with, or at least a contract with the original 20 kings. Maybe it could allow him to actually move comfortably along the other kingdoms, especially around the time where they were fighting against Joy Boy. That's actually not bad. Probably something to do with the original sin the 20 kings committed, so they were tied down to Mary Joie. Well, we know for the Celestial Dragons aren't necessarily tied down, but Emu might be. Is more wonderfully iconic antagonist than Emu himself, and you cannot deny that. Yeah, I'm just gonna put you on timeout. Let's do this. We're talking about One Piece right now. We're not talking about some dog shit versus battle that I made, that concept that I made up. You can bring up whatever you want about Naruto. You can bring up whatever, blah, 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 blah. We're not talking about that right now. If you want to make some weird comparison, Mr. Aizawa, you're more than welcome to, but I don't think anyone here cares. And I don't say that to be mean. I say that because, like, I really don't have the energy right now to deal with people trying to make themselves feel better about something Naruto. It's really not that type. I'm really not on that type of time right now. What if Emu's devil fruit, since it's basically the devil, there's a devil fruit that's an angel, and what if Luffy were that angel and not a sun god? I don't know about an angel necessarily, because you don't necessarily need to be an angel to stop a devil, since you could say that, like, devils are inherent opposite of gods and not... Or you could say, like, demons are more of an opposite to angels, and devils are more of an opposite towards gods. But I see where you're coming from. I don't want to rule this out entirely, especially since, like, Emu does seem to take up some kind of an appearance of a Lunarian. What are your thoughts about Emu being a combination/fusion of the 20 kings of various races to become a god, and all they're missing is Vivi from becoming complete? That's interesting, but I don't know if we've fully seen like 20 major races as a whole, especially since we've only really seen there to be humans. We only know that there are humans as far as the celestial dragons go. They really only resemble humans in truth. Was cursed by Davy Jones. If he goes close to the sea, he starts to get injured. That's also interesting. But we don't know if Davy Jones... We know that Davy Jones was a person, but we don't know if Davy Jones necessarily had any powers or he was just a hockey user. Let's see. Didn't he also fight Nika, or am I misremembering? He must have fought Nika at some point, since he knows, he is aware of who Joy Boy was. If we want to... Not Nika himself, but like Joy Boy as Nika. If we want to do the D&D equivalent route, they spun the devil falling from grace to say that devil Satan equivalent took grievous damage from their fall. It could be possible Emu made a contract with himself to make a pseudo-perpetual youth surgery, because we know the law's fruit is highly valued by the government. But that's the thing. We also know from the conversation between Dragon... Sabo and Ivankov, that in order to know that the Ope Ope no Mi has the ability to grant eternal life, it must have been done at some point. Yeah, kind of like Tot Musica. We know for a fact that Oda tends to like give some kind of a comparison between villains from the movies to the villains from the series, especially within their time frame. I do think it's plausible. I do think there's a conventional argument for it, especially for characters. For a character like Emu, since something like Tot Musica, specifically a concept like Tot Musica, was kind of like out there as a demon in the context of One Piece. You know what I mean? Yeah, doesn't Emu silhouette remind you of someone? I don't know right now who you're referencing. I think Emu has permanent damage from Joy Boy. When he uses his hockey, it gets hurt. Maybe. That's actually not a bad... so we seem to be finding a consistent theme with many of us around here. Was actually correct. What do you mean by saying Charles was actually correct? Can you remind me, please, Exister? Are the 20 ancient kingdoms all special races? I heard that Emu is allegedly half Lunarian, half ancient giant. Also, I'm starting to believe Emu's dominant reverse side the entirety of the 20 kingdoms against Joy Boy. Maybe Emu got his powers after he created the covenant with all the other kings. Maybe the covenant was to just allow them to give them like the life that they were meant to have right now. We got Horty Jones, now we got Davy Jones. Yeah. What are your thoughts on Chopper being the forest god? I think it's thematic. And it does make sense looking back with his devil fruit being shaped like a little mushroom, since he did want to find the cure-all mushroom and he wants to become the panacea that actually heals all kinds of illnesses and disease. So I do think it would actually make sense for Chopper to become the forest god, and for the forest god to be able to cleanse the world from demons. I think Emu is the idea of a fallen angel given the devil's fruit, and Emu fancying himself as God. Yeah, there could definitely be some Lucifer inspired theming around going on in here. I could definitely see it. Emu does give me kind of like Lucifer vibes in a sense. Wouldn't an angel be a downgrade since he's a god? Yeah, an angel would be a downgrade. But he considers himself to be a god.
But the Lunarians are, if anything, considered to be like angels. There's not a single character in the story right now that comes close to Imu. It's honestly insane how I just see Boruto's events just hating on this chapter because we got the best, hardest design for a villain ever. I like the design. I'm happy you're enjoying it too, Tyolan. Tyolan. I hope I ever pronounced that right. I'm happy with the design, personally. I think it's a very good design. I like the fact that Imu doesn't look ugly or stupid. That was a worry of mine for like the longest time, just because I know Oda sometimes likes to be funny. But he's had some pretty good designs through and through for many of his villains, and I'm kind of happy that Imu has the design that he's got. Demon King exists within the One Piece canon. Yeah. Can you remind me where Oda referenced that? Just to double check. Imu had the immortal surgery thing via the Ope Ope no Mi in advance. Haki kills him permanently, like how Loki one-shot Herald. Oh, how Loki one-shot Herald. That would be a major Haki upscale. Maybe he was hit by some kind of Jurin egg and he has to take a different form that doesn't have those wounds, but it isn't as powerful. There's actually an argument to be made, and you guys might be cool, might actually like this, but there's probably an argument to be made that before Imu fully succeeded and took over the entire world, before he defeated Joy Boy, or he actually took massive damage from Joy Boy or Davy Jones. Either one of them, likely Joy Boy in my opinion. I'm more Joy Boy leaning towards this case. He likely took massive damage from Joy Boy, and that was before he obtained this covenant. So by the time he became a demon, a true demon, Imu essentially couldn't recover that bit of damage. His body, like the damage was set on him. Read my last comment. It was about abilities, not devil fruits. My bad. I don't see it. Let me look up Chop Chat, maybe. I don't think Imu's abilities come from a devil fruit, because the devil fruits were created during the Second World Era, and Imu existed during the First World. Do we know for a fact if Imu existed in the First World? Let's look back at the... Let's look back at the mural real quick. I'll just open up another one. Well, okay, anybody remember what chapter the mural was in? Does anybody remember? If you guys do know, I'm glad you didn't make him look like Zeno just for a joke. Yeah, I'm happy he didn't. Maybe the black figure Imu is an abstract body and he got hurt because he hasn't used his real body in a long time. That's a good case. I think it might be just like a cover-up for him right now. One thing that's not being mentioned is that Imu didn't know about Luffy's powers until Wano, it looks like. I feel like he kind of did, all things considered, because he did send an assassin in there to try and take him down, right? Or am I misremembering that? They did send a fucking assassin for him, right? It was like, what, 11:35? How come we haven't mentioned the fit and the weapon? That weapon is insanely cool. Do you like the polearm that he got? I think it's a pretty cool polearm. I'm not gonna lie. I do like it myself. If anybody knows the chapter where we got the One Piece mural, let me know. I'll keep reading through comments just to get through these. Do you think there will be something after Awakening that only Imu reached? Probably not. I think it'd be a bit weird if that were to happen. I think people are glazing the design too much. It's good, but it's not that good. There are a lot of better designs. I like the design. I'm not really pushing too much past it. I'm just gonna let the design cook on its own when we have like full view in 2 weeks. Oda tends to make his most important villains look cool, even if they look goofy. Yeah, I agree. You know, most of the silhouettes of One Piece villains are either twisted or figurines, and Imu's a twisted figurine, and Joy Boy were actually the villains. That'd be crazy. Imu is a swordsman, so Mihawk upscale. I mean, hey, I didn't see a... To be fair, we did not see a Black Blade when Imu was cutting up those posters. Those wanted posters. I'm just saying, that's Mihawk upscale. That is definitely some Mihawk upscale. And Imu's polearm is definitely not a Black Blade. This is definitely not a Black Blade. I'm just saying. I think Joy Boy's Haki has some kind of soul damage. That's why Imu still hurts, because of the soul damage is permanent, right? Maybe. We still don't know. Where is the tall crown? Maybe he took it off. Maybe he took off the tall crown. 11:38. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Do you think those look like Giant's pants? Those do kind of look like Giant pants, to be fair. They do. They do look like Nordic pants, to an extent. Silhouette was the first era design. Let's put the giant mural. And then let's fix this up so that we get both ends. Manga Plus. There we go. Oh, shit. Okay, Eon, he said it during a special voice commentary for Film Red. Ah, okay, perfect, thank you.
Do you think his ability lets him bring life to objects like Big Mom, or is he able to do that for his entrance aura farming? I think it's mostly an entrance aura farming thing, but I think it's also the fact that he's essentially not imbuing life, but maybe like demons into other objects. You know what I mean? I love that the end of the weapon where either smoke or fur's coming from. Ah, yes. Up here. Yes, I think that's actual smoke. Yeah. The knife end looks like jagged, but it makes it look cool and unique. It's not a copy of Whitebeard's Naginata. I agree. It looks pretty cool. Thoughts on Emu being a grand descendant of Luffy? Oh, you mean an ancestor? You mean a grand ancestor of Luffy, and he just planned out his entire journey because of fate itself? I don't think so. I think that Emu didn't want any of this to happen. He just basically had no control over how certain people would act, and it all kind of just goes down all the way back from Lily, from 800 years ago, when Lily essentially sent things back into when she essentially split the you can kind of like get this from when he says that Lily essentially her fumbling the bag essentially caused the poneglyphs to be sent all across the world. Who's your favorite One Piece villain in your opinion? Right now it might be Emu. Right now it might be Emu. But if I had to give you like an actual villain, I like Buggy. I like Buggy. I also like Kaido a lot. I think Doflamingo's pretty good, but I don't glaze Doflamingo about as much as anybody else. I do like Rob Lucci a lot, but I did have a lot more respect for him pre-time skip. In case you missed, the answer is Silhouette legit looks like an L, at least in shape. I see what you mean. Can't wait till we get the actual character for Emu. Yeah, same. Don't you switch back to live chat, Unk? I think top chat gives me... Oh, wait, it is live chat. My bad. Everything should be visible. My apologies. Well, we have a lot of character for him already. Yeah. My only issue with the design is that he doesn't feel like he has anything to do with the silhouette or shadowy figure. Maybe it was, we saw it was a transition between two forms and it feels less weird. Maybe it was just a way to keep himself concealed while he was inside. Emu just can't be a inherited will. That's what I'm saying. So, as Bob just said, he can't beat inherited will. As long as people have will, as long as people are willing to move on ahead, Emu doesn't really have a way of like stopping them, right? He might be able to flood the planet, erase history, and essentially put a dystopian society where he rules at the top, but he can't control every single person's actions, especially since we know that he has some kind of a deterrent from leaving Pangea Castle. And what likely send Emu back right now is what'll likely send Emu back, or what'll at least give us the heroes, or give, you know, the crew something to like move past this, is the fact that Emu might not be able to stay out for long, which I think is a good design on Oda's end. Listen, power scaling aside, now you think it's the best design of all One Piece or not? Me, yeah. I like the design. I'm not sure if I'm willing to call it the best design yet until I see a full body look. You know what I mean? I just really hope that Oda makes Emu an actual generational character. There's so much potential for him to become top 5 in the series, maybe even top 10 in anime. So whose silhouette is left for reveals? I don't really know yet. I think all major players have been fully revealed besides Vivi and Joy Boy. We still need to see Vivi, Joy Boy, and Davy Jones, but that'll likely come in from a flashback that we'll likely get when we reach the One Piece island on Laugh Tale. One Piece silhouettes are not matching character. Yeah, the silhouettes never match the character, so I don't know what necessarily the issue is. You know what I mean? Yeah, this is what we were hoping to see in the next chapter, but won't read our answers. I am reading. I'm reading everything. Surely comes from Moo referring to himself as Emu, and people got... I am reading. I'm reading everything you guys are saying. I love at the end of the weapon. Yeah, I know. I've read everything you guys said. Come on now. Don't, give me some grace, man. It's a lot of comments, and I'm trying not to like have it all go up. Oh, you're forgetting the Burn Scar guy. Yes, Burn Scar guy as well. We are also forgetting them. Emu uses his silhouette form in his dimension as like the puppets, cause his real physical being is in another realm, fat beyond our own. Our own belief. In your opinion, did you think Emu will have a more broken ability than Law? I hope so. I hope Emu has a very broken ability, but again, not for power scaling purposes. Because, do you think, wait 1 second, Emu will turn all God's Knights and Upmen into skeletons like Saturn due to them falling and forcing him to come in person? Maybe. Emu does seem like the kind of guy that doesn't give a fuck. Maybe he's just like, you guys failed me, I'm just done with it. Like, you guys are all gone. You guys, I'm just setting up new fucking guys. I'm getting myself a whole new God's Knights. Anybody want God's Knight powers? We need God's Knights out here.
Did Oda forget Black Blades, or is it truly that hard to make one that we only know of two? Probably that hard to make one, which only really sets up their precedence. If it was true, I feel like there could have been a visual indication of the fact that he was stopping him from concealing himself. We still haven't even seen Imu's full form and the one that Sabo got injured by. What if the Darkness Fruit is actually Davy Jones' fruit? That's actually a very interesting idea. Davy Jones will drag you down to the bottom of the locker. Will drag you to the bottom of the depths of the ocean. The depths of the ocean are inherently all darkness and pure black, pitch black darkness. The devil's power. The devil's power is actually this devil fruit's power to remove devil fruits is only something that the power of the sea itself can do. Yeah, no, this actually makes a lot of sense. This actually makes a lot of sense. I like that. The devil houses are because Imu has the devil's fruit, so it's awakening and turns the environment to devils. Yeah, that also works. But his is clearly a Zoan as well. I think that he was confused because we were the top chat for a minute and some of the comments were hidden. Need a Blackbeard upscale? Are you taking into account the break? Yes, I'm taking into account the break. My issue is that it doesn't seem to be a silhouette. Garp implies that this is how he appears, at least when he possesses people. Which I think is fine if he possesses people that way. He's probably just keeping a silhouette shape just to make it easy for Oda to not have to, like, design a person. Sometimes things don't have to make sense in canon. It's just one of those things where it's like, I want to keep the main villain hidden. I'm going to just draw them in a silhouette. Whenever they pop up, they will look like a silhouette. So the silhouette will no longer be necessary once we get them to fully appear. You know what I mean? It's sad. Some will still say that Shanks is above Emu or some dumb stuff like that. It's fine. It's okay. I don't think it's a big of an issue. Why are you acting like you care about the story all of a sudden? Are you a power scaling junkie? No, I care about the story. You can do both, my friend. You know, here's the thing that I find so interesting about people like you, like people like that Halton guy, people like Mr. Aizawa. You guys see the world in complete black and whites. You guys don't even remotely think that, like, a person or a story or anything is anything past whatever you see from the surface level, and I think that's the saddest part. And here's why, and the part that makes it even funnier is that you're saying, why do I care about the story when I'm a power scaling junkie? No, I actually care a lot more about the story. I just enjoy power scaling as a pastime and made my channel around power scaling. But as I was going to say earlier, before that rude comment, by the way, but what I was going to say earlier was that from a non-power scaling perspective, I like the fact that Imu actually has this limitation, because having the main villain of the story, especially a guy who is potentially speaking the most powerful character currently in the story, the top one of the verse, to show up like this, in an unprecedented manner, especially for like the Gorosei, and basically, from as far as we know, all of One Piece history throughout the last 800 chapters, I think it's actually very interesting for Oda to make an actual limitation where Imu probably takes damage if he's not inside Pangaea Castle, because it now creates a scenario where if it creates a situation where he is allowed to have Imu be as powerful as he needs Imu to be, or he's allowed to have Imu go as rampant as possible, and he always has the limitation that if it ever gets to a point where, like, oh, everyone is fucked, Imu can just go back, just is forced to go back into Pangaea Castle, back into the top of the red line. I like that, because from a narrative perspective, it now sets up a situation where Imu is allowed to fight, we're allowed to see what Imu can do, but Imu is also now limited in them not being allowed to go all out, or them not being allowed to stay out for a long time. And they have to go back at some point. I like that from a narrative perspective. Do we have any idea? Imu seems to be about the same size as a normal person, especially since we know that the world government chair, he looks small on it. Imu did look small in that chair. Do you think Imu will showcase that large form he had against Sabo? I hope so. I hope we get to see a full Devil Fruit transformation from Imu. Yeah. People like you, when he says that I get kicked out and get called a bigot. Because I'm referencing a specific individual, and I referenced like 3 other individuals who all were, by all metrics, just annoying individuals who have nothing better to do than to trash another series because they don't have anything happy going on in their lives right now. I would assume. Maybe they have something happy, and if they do, I'm happy for them, but I don't personally care for the idea that you have to put down another series just to make yourself feel better. Yeah, but Garp says the black thing. Unless Garp is extremely racist, I think Imu's silhouette is an actual form rather than an actual silhouette. It could be both. It could be both. Especially since he didn't show up physically, you know what I mean? One Piece power scaling is narrative focused. It is narrative focused, but I also like the idea that like we have these like little limitations that prevent the characters from like just straight up going on Twitter. I saw on Twitter that people were debating Sakura versus Sukuna. I want to know your thoughts. Sukuna curb stomps the fuck out of her because I have no reason to believe that Sakura ever evades any of his slashes, tanks any of his attacks, especially if he puts up a domain expansion. She has no durability feats that even remotely imply she can tank it. I have no reason to believe that the Strength of Hundreds healing jutsu, the Mitotic Regeneration, is as good as RCT, especially since RCT is verbatim showed to actually heal limbs, while the Strength of 100 healings only has a statement with no feat to actually back it up. And even then, a character like Gojo was forced to also use two different domain negation techniques in the form of simple domain and then in the form of falling blossom emotion in order to limit the effects and limit the output of the domain expansion on his body so he wouldn't take as much damage while also full throttling RCT. You can argue all you want about her healing being quote unquote better or whatever than his, or even being on par with RCT. You can argue all you want about it, but at the end of the day, the reason why Gojo was able to tank the slashes in the first place was because he was also lowering the output of the slashes. Not to mention, she would have to immediately activate the Strength of 100 healings as Sukuna drops domain expansion just to be able to survive the beginning onslaught. Because if Sukuna goes for a neck slash like he did against Gojo, I don't think she's stopping that. I don't think she's beating that. Besides, she also just straight up loses to World Cutting Slash, and she can't see any of the slashes coming, so I don't see how she wins that. She has to land a hit against a guy who, even if she, for whatever reason, believes he can blow a hole in his body, for whatever reason, I don't personally have a reason to. She doesn't have great strength scaling as far as quantifiable feats go. So even if you believe she could do that, as long as Sukuna has a portion of his body left, specifically head and most of his body, he can just grow that back. I don't have a reason to believe. Even arrived, he already took damage. Sukuna arrived and was ready to fade. He already took damage? I guess if you want to say self-induced damage, sure. We really hate Fugaku's daughter-in-law, huh? Yeah, Fugaku's daughter-in-law is just... No, she has nothing as far as I'm aware within the 700 chapters of Naruto that gives her light speed scaling, and I don't know anything in fucking Boruto that would give her that either. Maybe there's something in the light novels, but it's kind of wishy-washy. Do you think that Blackbeard will fight Imu? I'm hoping that Blackbeard will probably, and I've said this before, I would like Imu to be, but does domain expansion even work against people with no cursed energy? Because Naoya's domain didn't work on Maki. Sukuna's domain is specifically stated to have the capacity to split objects both with and without cursed energy. Yes, we're going to read some Centuria in a little bit. There was something that they wanted me to talk about in case of this right here. A mention that Imu... There was an actual means of stopping him. Loki destroyed his father. That was nothing short of a monster, and thou sayest it was killed. That was an exceedingly rare ancient giant warrior, given even greater power and an immortal body. That was nothing short of a monster, and thou sayest it was killed? By whom? What is in Elbaf? We shall have it investigated. Harold's abyss is in Elbaf's remains intact. Elbaf's remains intact. Enough. It will be only the death of more knights. Performing the covenant inflicts the cost upon Mu as well. Good. Harold chose to debase himself before humankind to connect his country to other lands and peoples. This made him a heretic. His are a tribe of warriors whose every drop of blood calls out for battle. Carelessly incorporating them into the government will lead to internal struggle, collapse. An ancient giant king of Elbaf who agrees to a covenant as gift to Mu, the likes of which shall not be seen again. He was a king that Elbaf never should have had, and see what came of it. History does not lie. Our kinds are incompatible. Never forget that Elbaf is D. Yeah. Is his name Imu or Mu? He refers to himself as Mu, is probably have something to do with like Japanese grammar. Have a good one, Esther. Can Sukuna Black Flash at will? It doesn't seem like he can Black Flash at will. Only Yuji can.
Alright. How powerful is it that the Noro know me if the person was actually smart with it? I think it would probably be one of the most dangerous fruits alive, because imagine a person... Imagine a guy with Luffy or Kizaru's speed or Sanji's speed and post time skip that just has the power to also slow you down. So why didn't Sukuna domain / Maki apart then? When did his domain / Maki apart? When did he land a domain against Maki? Can you show me the chapter where Sukuna lands a domain expansion on Maki? Because Maki had a simple domain with what's-her-face? Miwa basically spawned in front of Maki to give her a simple domain, and then they all got teleported out with Boogie Woogie. How does Law fare against Damon and his reflection? There's two ways of looking at it. If you think that Law goes in there with no intent to kill or no intent to really harm, especially since his blade doesn't harm, I have no idea if Damon can necessarily reflect the actual amputation, but even if he did, Law just puts himself back together. I mean, it's his devil fruit. He just tacks himself back together. As far as actual, like, battle, put it like this. It's an immovable object versus it's an immovable object versus an unstoppable force versus an immovable object. There is no instance where I think Damon beats Law because Damon still has to land hits on Law. Law is way too fast for that to be the case. I have no reason to believe that the speed scaling in Boruto, as far as my casual read-through is gone, even remotely implies that these characters are as fast as One Piece characters, so I just don't have a reason to believe that. Law still has a broken devil fruit that, by all intentions purposes, even if he can't hurt Damon, he just doesn't ever get hit. So it's just one of those cases where I don't believe that Law loses to Damon, but I also don't know if I can really make the argument that he can beat him. Do you think Imu's power is that of the devil? I do think it's that of the devil. I don't want to spam, but can I know when the next stream is? Likely Tuesday. Tuesday of next week. It's not just intent to kill. Ah, okay. I think Buggy would be cut if it would put himself back together. Does Imu slave diff bleach? From my current perspective, probably. 258 uses an incomplete domain and expands everywhere, and yet Maki wasn't affected. 258. If I remember right, I think I know the chapter you're referencing. Ah, this one. You see the second pair of legs right here? You see the second pair of legs? You need to zoom in. There's another person right here. You see that there's two sets of legs. That's Miwa. That's Miwa using a simple domain to simply slow down the effects of the domain expansion. You can also see Ino right here use a simple domain. This is Miwa. What about Miwa? You realize a simple domain lowers the output and everyone was teleported almost immediately afterwards. Everyone else was teleported. The only ones that didn't get teleported were Yuji and Chozo because they were too close to the epicenter of the domain. That's why they survived. Doesn't work if he isn't touching someone else. Code had a fist fight against Damon and the reflection didn't trigger. Dude, I don't fucking know at this point. They weren't in the domain. What part of they were not in the domain do you not understand? It's vacuum sealed. Thermobaric explosives scattered to every corner of the domain. The heat from the divine flame causes detonation, instantaneous high temperature, shockwaves, decompression, and instant pressurization, killing all living things within the domain. Wait, right here. Furthermore, it altered the specification of the barrier, controlled its access to everything except living things, and created a seal within the effective range without lowering Malevolent Shrine's output. It sealed it. Didn't take any noticeable damage from Fuga, though. Because she wasn't inside of the... Okay, I'm just done talking to you. You're just not... You're just speaking to speak. You're just trying to get to... You're just trying to get me to say, oh yeah, Maki wasn't... No, she was not inside the domain. The only two people inside the domain were Yuji and Chozo. And that was because they were inside. Todo's plan with Mei involved accompanying Kotsu Yuta to adjust curse techniques. Todo himself didn't know whether his allies were safe, and he couldn't sense Itadori and Chozo in the heart of the domain. There's no time to tell these things to Yuji Itadori. Yeah. Basically, they had a plan to go in there after Sukuna did his domain expansion. So, what do you want me to tell you? Makes no sense. When Kawaki tested it out just by thinking about punching him, he got punched, and Damon wasn't touching no one. Yeah, I just think it's... Well, it's not Kishimoto, it's Ikemoto. We haven't even been there. Does Eon still believe Sukuna's FTL after the Dabura performance? I think he is still, at the very least, relativistic to the speed of light. I still don't have a reason to believe he's not, since he dodged an EM wave at point blank range with an absolutely fucked up body. At least I read. No, you do not. You clearly don't read JJK as much as I do, since you're forgetting things that I could literally just tell you from the top of my head. So I'm not affected by this. I'm incorrect. Okay, so can you give me the chapter where Maki is stated to be inside the domain? Can you show me when Maki was inside of the domain? Can you show me that, please? Come on. At least it isn't FTL or Lightspeed. I'm fine. Hey, relativistic is still relativistic, and he dodged an attack that was 99.993 or 997% the speed of light. So I'm chilling either way. Writes Boruto now since Baryon mode. The other guy is no longer writing it. Who the fuck is writing Boruto? Wait, time out. Who the fuck is writing... Who is writing Boruto? Who the fuck is writing Boruto now? I'm just... Okay, as of 2024 to 2025, Ikemoto is in charge of writing and illustrating Boruto, including 2 Blue Vortex, based on, at times, ambiguous level of supervision from the original creator, Masashi Kishimoto. Kishimoto confirms he does not write Boruto. This was confirmed 2 years ago. The series has entered a more serious phase with 2 Blue Vortex, where the idea of making a renegade is not that Boruto's really a traitor. When his adventure begins, his situation is the opposite of Naruto's in the past. Naruto, there's a rivalry between Sasuke, drawing, At the beginning, indeed, shared the story with me, but the more we advance, the more different the plot becomes from what it was initially planned. Today, I discussed the part of the storyline with my editor every month, so I think Kishimoto-sensei doesn't yet know what's going on happen next in Boruto. I just enjoy reading it. So, yeah. Do you think Modulo Yuji would get against the Akatsuki? I have basically nothing to go off of, because I have no, Yuji doesn't fight anyone necessarily powerful. He fights a guy that he already beat once in the past, and he just curb stomped him, but he also curb stomped him basically like in a weird borderline between life and death or whatever. I have no fucking clue, dude. I don't know where Modulo Yuji goes. When he gets tagged by Mach 1 Piercing Blood by Yuji, unless Yuji has a million times faster by Piercing Blood than Chojo. What are you talking about? Is that Blackbeard will come when Imu leaves or goes back to Mary Joie and absorb Imu? I don't think that happens. I see where you're coming from. Wise Infinity, I see where you're coming from, but at the same time, I just want to kind of say that, I agree with the idea that he does that he at least, goes in to fight Imu, but only after Imu's basically, on the verge of defeat. I think that he does, basically pulls a Whitebeard again. Modulo clears, once Blackbeard becomes a king, he will have enough power for the One Piece and actually have a chance of defeating Luffy. I don't know about that. I think that only works if we first get the One Piece and then we go in there. It's stated to have fought Sukuna. You expect her to run away? What do you mean she isn't in his domain? Everyone got teleported out. Everyone got teleported out. Literally. Everyone got teleported out. What the fuck are we talking about here? After Kishimoto fights, Sukuna gets tagged by Piercing Blood. Sukuna gets tagged by Piercing Blood, for which only a singular speed feat, that being Mach 1. Let's double check that. Oh, I know what you're referencing. Yeah. I know what you're referencing. Let's just move this one ahead, because I don't need to read these. It was 45? Yeah, it's 245. The real question is, what is the One Piece? I'm still on the cusp of the One Piece essentially just being a One Piece bathing suit. Alright, we have to do it after the domain expansion, right? When does Sukuna get hit by the Mach 1? When does Sukuna get hit by a Mach 1 thing? You said After the Kashimo fight, Sukuna gets tagged by piercing blood, for which we only have a singular speed feed. When does he get tagged by it? Because he clearly blitzes Chozo all the way through piercing blood. I kicked Junko out of the server. Are you proud of me? I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, Lapis. Damon wasn't touching anyone with code clawed him. Nor when Kawaki thought of punching him, and there's one more, I think. Gotcha. One Piece is for real Big Sake. It's just a Big Sake song? That's so funny. Do you think Joy Boy will appear somehow? I think we'll only get the Joy Boy only once we know the true history of the One Piece world. But before being teleported. How can Maki be hit by Fuga when they got teleported out in order to avoid Fuga? You just don't make any sense. You just don't make any sense. You know what? Here's what I'm gonna do. If I see your name, I'm just gonna ignore you. How about that? Okay. The One Piece is a big fucking drain plug that'll unflood the world, revealing the sunken civilization. That's so funny. That would be really funny. It's just a big ass drain plug, just like one of those like really old cork drain plugs from like the past. Dude, I would love that. I would unironically love that. I think that'd be so funny. Toji and Maki versus Sukuna, they're getting curb stomped by... They don't beat domain expansion. Those two do not beat domain expansion. That's what I'm saying, bruh. Okay, so we did some of that. We'll check out a video from Zeta. I said Theta. Zeta. I'll check out the Perfect Cell versus Metal Sonic stuff. Actually, let's do it like this first. We'll check this out. We'll add to queue. Why Metal Sonic cannot beat Perfect Cell? Death Battle debunked. Sure, we'll check this one out. We'll add this to queue. Sure, we'll check this one out, and then we'll read some Centuria. We'll read about 3 chapters of Centuria. I haven't seen Steel Ball Run animated. My girlfriend and I did see the One Piece live action. We actually think it's pretty good. I did like Chopper's little design. I did kind of cry. during the Hero Look episode. I do think, looking at what this pace is looking like, we'll probably have a full season of Alabasta. We'll probably have a season of Jaya. It'll likely just be like a season of Jaya, maybe like a second half of like going up to Skypiea. Maybe like the first half of the season will be like, or like the first 2 episodes will be like Jaya, then they go up to like Skypiea, and then maybe season 4 is going to be, season 5 is just going to be getting us through like Long Ring Long and maybe starting up Water 7. I'm calling it right now for that to be like the pacing of the series, because Goku beats everyone anyway. Centurica after this, yes, Centuria after this. Don't worry, we'll check out these videos. We'll watch them real quick, and then and I'll actually try to watch them quickly. So 1 second, I haven't finished the One Piece live action season 2 yet. My girlfriend and I, let me get some candy first. I need something to raise my blood sugar real quick. I basically only had like quote unquote breakfast, but that was like at 3 a.m. after I woke up. I had a long morning, and I basically told myself like I'd rather just go to bed, but I didn't actually end up falling asleep until like 1 in the afternoon. I think it was. I was just like rolling around. I couldn't fall back asleep, so I'll probably just get some dinner later. Yo, by the way, my girlfriend and I, we went. I ended up going out to like a the supermarket. And I ended up buying some gnocchi. We ended up actually cooking up some gnocchi. With this curry sauce. Yo, she is amazing, by the way. We had this curry, so I ended up buying like these little like curry bricks that I got from like this Asian food market. Like these little like blocks of curry. We broke like a portion of like 1 block of the curry. We chopped it up. Well, she did actually. She actually did this one all on her own. She mixed it with the curry soup. She added a little bit of milk to make it like a little bit creamy. Threw in some other stuff in there, bro. It was delicious. I'm telling we had some fire ass gnocchi yesterday. No, actually like 2 days ago. That's gonna be dinner tonight. I can't wait, man. But anyway, let's get back to it.
So about a week ago, Death Battle announced that
What is happening here?
they will be doing
Am I connected? Can you guys hear anything?
I can dismiss this claim as
Can you guys hear anything? I can't hear anything. Thousand Sunny sound. Let me see this real quick.
Just baseless speculation.
It does show. Maybe. Oh, my headphones weren't properly plugged in. That's why.
It's just overall ambiguous that they will be doing a video on.
What the fuck? Still not making any noise.
I knew I was eventually going. So recently, Death Battle just dropped Perfect Cell versus Metal Sonic, and needless to say, this was.
Yo, what the fuck? I can't hear anything. Can you guys hear anything? Can you guys hear? Yes or no?
Very expected for
It's like a whisper.
because that's the
Is it because... Oh, is it because I... Wait, no. But that shouldn't be it. This is at 1. I had that lowered. Cool. I was fucking around with my music, with my sound settings. Here's the output.
most common trope that.
Okay, we got it.
So about a week ago, Death Battle announced that they will be doing a video on Perfect Cell versus Metal Sonic. I knew I was eventually going to cover at least one Death Battle related topic.
Thank you, Lapis. I
considering that
appreciate it.
they are
Oh shit,
basically the
Mosey!
most popular.
Thank you so much for the $2. I really appreciate it, man. Guys, can we get some W's for Mosey? By the way, before we continue, before we actually watch this, I did want to ask you guys a different question. And we actually did read the chapter, Mosey. If you want to see some of my opinions on it, you can go earlier in the stream. I actually wanted to ask you guys a different question real quick. What are some recent W's that you've had? I'd love to hear from you guys. Something I've been like recently realizing lately, especially like a conversation that I had with my therapist, is just, you know, celebrating the little things, no matter how big or small. Whether it's like finding finding some money on your pocket, whether it's, you know, getting paid, whether it's getting a bit of a promotion, doing well on a test in school. Like, how have you guys been? Like, let me know what little W's you guys have had in life lately. Someone I know recently got a job. They've been like working very hard for it. The job market out there's been very hard for a lot of people. I'm sure it wasn't just them, but they finally got a chance to do it, and I'm actually very happy for them. They told me about it earlier today, so I don't know. I just feel like it's always important to celebrate wins, no matter where we're coming from. No matter how big or small, it's important to capture a lot of different wins. I have captured the attention of several femcels who are begging to have my children. Helping mom move my grandma. Nice. I'm crying. Bro really said they're begging to have your children. They're begging you to breed them. That's lovely. It's always good to help family, especially like one thing I've learned lately is that like not lately. I don't want to say lately. I say that a lot, but one thing that I've learned like in the past is that your parents do so much for you. Not everybody always has the best parents, but a lot of the times, in most cases, your parents do the best that they can for you. So it's always nice to like help them out in any way you can. Something I've actually been doing in my own personal life. Finished my capstone, graduating with a BA. Nice! Congratulations! You bought new light bulbs. Happy about that? Hey, listen, light bulbs are great. Yo, I need to get new light bulbs too. Every time I turn on my bathroom light, that shit, one of the two lights ends up just flickering in and out all the time. I gotta change that. Dude, certain small things as an adult that like you just keep putting off. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm the type of guy that like I put off small things like that for too long. So I do view this as a big W. A W I got was rehearsing well with my pianist yesterday. That's lovely, dude. I was rereading Steel Ball Run yesterday. Why didn't you tell us you were in chapter 29, page 28? Jesus Christ, what the fuck am I about to say? Steel Ball Run. Steel Ball. Alright. Let's see what kind of bullshit you're about to make me say. By the way, Steel Ball Run is hard to read. At least on the first read through for me. Alright, let's see what this is. By the way, I guess... Why do I feel I'm about to see something cursed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29... You said page 28. This page? What do you mean I was featured? Are you calling me the bear? Who the fuck are you referencing? Are you calling me a bear? I'm just looking at that.
Power scaling form of media of all time.
I appreciate that.
Since I've made debunk videos on both terrible Sonic arguments and terrible Dragon Ball arguments, I believe that it is perfect for me to cover this subject. Now, before I go into this in-depth analysis, let me set my goals for this video. A lot of the people...
This is chapter 29. This is definitely the chapter. You're the invisible food. And you eat beans. How about that, huh? How do you feel about that? Huh? What did I say about that, huh? Yeah, you just eat beans. Zeta the goat?
Who are going to argue this topic are more than likely going to take their arguments from a source, taking it from some creator or influencer, because that usually is what happens 99% of the time for these debates. The problem with people using influencers is that it opens up an agenda or just is open to using dishonest information instead of actually using the source material for both respective franchises, and only appealing to what these influencers have to say. So in order to prevent this misinformation and overall misconception, I'm going to debunk the most popular videos covering this exact topic before the death battle comes up, because I guarantee you it's going to suck ass coming from people who only take their arguments from influencers and not the raw sources from these respective franchises. I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's get into it, and I'll just be covering this video since this happens to be the most popular one.
It is an insult. Eating beans is an insult. How dare you say that it's not? You know what? You know what? You know what? I'm putting you on timeout for even remotely adhering to the idea. Even remotely. I was supposed to be a joke about you being a dinosaur, but of course you're bad at math. You're bad math through, and I counted the pages. What do you mean bad math? All right, fuck off.
Your biodata, he's copying your skills, your personalities, your genetic history, everything about you. He's copying you down from a DNA minute level.
I'm sorry, but this is logically not even happening at all. You first posit the claim that Metal Sonic can copy one's genetics, but if he can copy genetics, then you're basically contradicting that Metal Sonic is an artificial being. Because if you're going to add biological capabilities to him, then he's not actually artificial. He's not actually a robot. So for you to say that he can copy genetics is a contradiction. Are you gonna...
One second, can Metal Sonic copy genetic material? It can copy, analyze, and replicate biological data and genetic material. Okay, it's using that. I don't care to watch somebody else. I need, like, the actual information. Wasn't there, like, an actual thing within the, biodata from... Yeah, he collects biodata from, Doesn't he collect biodata, like, during, Sonic Heroes? Yeah, Metal Sonic does that, right? I think that's, like, actually stated. Wait, one second. Neo Metal Sonic... Excuse me. Neo Metal Sonic cutscenes.
Then who?
Let's see.
Prizes?
Long time no see.
No, it wasn't this one. It's a Team Dark cutscenes.
Irritating echidna is here.
Some things never change, do they?
What do you
Ultimate life form data has been copied. Ultimate life form data.
So doesn't it specifically say bio data? But here's the thing, and this is where, like, I constantly go back to this point. Here's the thing, and here's where I constantly go back to, yeah. If he doesn't actually, like, take biology or genetics, then that's fine. Obama, I pissed on the moon, you idiot. What the fuck does that even mean? Here's the thing. If he hasn't, if Metal Sonic, within the context of this video, if Metal Sonic does not have an actual statement implying that he can copy genetics or biology or biological data, then ignore what I'm about to say. But one thing that I will say is that the argument that this guy is doing, saying that he's a mechanical being, that would have to make him biological, that's not important. And the reason why I say that's not important is because I know that people often like to use some level of, like, real world logic for this stuff. And in a real world setting, I would agree, being made entirely out of metal, like Metal Sonic, shouldn't be capable of reproducing or copying genetic data. But just to be clear, fiction does not give a shit. You can have a fictional character be whatever the fuck you want it to be. It can break whatever rules you want it to break, and it is fine within the context of your story. It can be completely fine.
Earlier I said Sandbag comes from outside the confines of time and space. And yet he is still affected by 2D and 3D people and objects. No matter what you try to say, no matter how illogical that might sound, it is still canon to the character. Just saying. Also, I don't know if it's positive or negative, but I essentially did a completionist run of Fairy Tail. I read Fairy Girls and watched both Dragon Cry and Phoenix Priestess. It's at least an accomplishment. Did you get a little like accomplishment thing above your head? Did you get like a little bit like achievement unlocked above your head, Aster? Did you feel good? It's a reference to Snapcube YouTube channel dubbing over the cutscene of Sonic Adventure to a very humorous effect that's kind of famous. I think I'm kind of recalling it now, right? It was like Metal, it was like Eggman, right? Eggman, it was like the scene where Eggman blows up the moon, right? You've never heard of Peak? Go to Dr. Eggman Twitter announcement. I'm not doing that. I think I've seen what you're referencing. I have seen what you're referencing.
Also, relating to knowledge and semantically, what do you mean by skills? You're not actually providing a clarified definition of what you mean by skills. And obviously, since you're not providing any sort of clarification, I can dismiss this claim as just baseless speculation. This is just overall ambiguous and is gonna go nowhere until you provide some clarified definitions. Because then I can just say that anything is a skill. And if anything is a skill, that also means that breathing is a skill. And can Metal Sonic breathe? No, because he's not a living being.
Sonic Riders can copy all the abilities.
Well, you wouldn't necessarily argue that breathing is a skill, and even then, just because Metal Sonic doesn't breathe doesn't mean that it's fine.
Of the riders and make himself the perfect rider and the fastest one. He can also do this to Tails in the game. Within Espio's DNA, his power allows him to go invisible as a chameleon. And guess who looked at that and copied that? Metal Sonic. Like, excuse the quality because it's an old game, but he even copies down Silver's psychokinesis ability.
So he can imperfectly mimic, biological and chaos abilities that he's programmed to copy. Got it. This doesn't copy key.
Like, excuse the quality because it's an old game, but he even copies down Silver's psycho.
So he can imperfectly mimic biological and chaos abilities that he's programmed to copy.
Kinesis ability. He doesn't need the energy you have or the gadget you have or whatever. Even when fighting Shadow, he copies his chaos control ability. It's just that simple.
Okay, so this is a very weak attempt at substantiation for your claim that he can basically just copy any technique or any ability that you hold. For one, being able to copy just a couple examples within Sonic does not mean...
Yes, Rakeem, we have read the new chapter. And also, do you guys, obviously this is more of a question, I don't know if anybody here actually does do like Sonic scaling or does know anything about Sonic canon, but does anybody here actually know whether or not like all Sonic games are canon to one another, or if it's just like a select number of like mainline games? Are all of them canon or like only some of them? Definitely felt good while watching Dragon Cry. It made me cry, not from my eyes, but it still made me cry. Ah, I see. I know you're planning a Power Skill Expedition 30, but are there any other characters, games, or media? I like to do Black Myth Wukong. I definitely like to do Black Myth Wukong. And I'm thinking about maybe doing the Sovereign from Dragon's Dogma C2. I really like that game, and I never got a chance to finish it.
He can copy any ability. That is a hasty generalization fallacy. And also, let's understand the fact that anything that Metal Sonic can copy can realistically be reduced to another explanation within the series. For example, the ability to copy Tails' flight can be explained by the fact that he has rocket boosters on his feet that can accelerate him from the fucking ground. He does not have a tail that is near his ass, where if it spins, it will make him off the floor. So he's not even perfectly copying it. He's merely just mimicking the act of flying and not the actual methodology of it being used. The first piece of evidence you showed also doesn't prove that Metal Sonic can copy anything as well, since it never clarifies on what it means by having the data of every other writer. By the way, the whole artificial means point is consistent, as him being able to copy Espio's ability cannot be reduced as a biological ability, but rather an artificial ability or an artificial component of Metal Sonic in order to copy or mimic biological abilities. But to elaborate on the whole reduce it to another explanation point, these can literally all just be explained by...
We have seen Emu's true form. We have seen the chapter earlier. Let me just post it here. Yes, we've gone through chapter 1179. Let's post it here, and then let's just pin this for you guys. Pin. It's kind of like Marvel, where there's multiple different versions while all being canon, from my understanding. Yeah, I remember that, like, my friend, one of my friends and I were talking about how a couple of years back on, like, the official Sonic Twitter, somebody posted, like, everything is canon, and it, for, like, a single day or for, like, a couple of hours, Sonic scaling just went through the fucking roof because of that single tweet, and then they had to retroactively put out a second tweet saying, no, not everything, not everything is canon. Because otherwise, you know, Sonic scaling would have just gone straight out the window. Everything would have just either been extremely hyperbolic or very lowball.
by the fact that Eggman designed Metal Sonic to do all of these things. But it's not like he can copy anything cross-verse, since all of his copying abilities are based on Eggman's knowledge, which is only limited to in their own verse. So no, Shadow cannot copy curse techniques, he cannot copy ki, he cannot copy chakra. Metal Sonic cannot copy every ability that is intrinsic to other verses, especially if they are abilities that are based on life or life energy, which I will touch on that later, because Metal Sonic is not a living being, so he cannot hold life energy. And what's worse is that even if Metal Sonic had these abilities, it's not like Metal Sonic could copy them, since he has no prior knowledge of these abilities, let alone if he understands if he could do it or not.
But he doesn't even have chaos energy within him, and he's able to use chaos.
Okay,
40K is the
Eggman could have
poster
designed
child
him
of
to copy
everything
chaos
and
energy
nothing's
without having
canon.
chaos.
Edit note, it's just mimicking chaos abilities artificially. If you can use chaos abilities without chaos energy, then it would confirm chaos abilities don't require their energy. It would confirm don't require their energy. That's it. It doesn't mean
Or be able to form attacks that operate similar to chaos energy, but not actually be chaos energy.
If you don't understand that, I don't know what it's gonna take. So
Is Metal Sonic a living being? No, Tyrecords, answer the question. Is Metal Sonic a living being? Because Ki is life force, and obviously, things that are not living cannot hold life force. Has Eggman ever designed Metal Sonic?
DBZ guys are always in the deep end of things. True. That's totally true.
To somehow make Ki or operate something similar to Ki? I guess Eggman has knowledge on the Dragon Ball verse, Tyrecords.
Metal Sonic in the weakest part of his body, out of nowhere, again.
Okay, since you're going to merge the Archie continuity and the game continuity for Metal Sonic simultaneously
Yeah,
with
This is something I will say, like, I don't really have, like, a... Here's the thing. I don't really like Cell as a villain. Cell doesn't really seem like an interesting villain, in my opinion. But neither does Metal Sonic entirely, right? I don't really have a personal preference for either one of these characters. I don't personally care who's actually stronger. I would find it interesting to actually see how they can get Sonic characters selected solo system tiers, or at least Metal Sonic, but that's besides the point. What I'm going to say, though, is... one thing that I notice that a lot of people often do is that they like to use, like, the everything, like, the quote-unquote everything is canon ideology, where, like, Death Battle does this a lot, where, like, they combine all forms of the characters into singular composite versions, which essentially would have all good and bad traits of the characters, including all good feats and bad feats, etc. I don't like this idea of, like, nitpicking stuff, so there's usually some level of distinction that I do want to make, which is why I oftentimes tell people, for certain lines of scaling, you might want to do anime only. For certain lines of scaling, you might want to do manga only. You can meld manga and anime in most cases, and it's one of those things that you can kind of, like, mix without it being too fucked, unless it's Naruto because of all the filler. But in most cases, I would say you probably, unless you're willing to do a metric fuck ton of research. I'm talking about weeks worth of research to figure out every single thing for a character, because in some cases, listen, in some cases there are certain, like, entities out there, like, you could say, or not Sonic, you could say Superman, you could say anything, like, comic books in general, most characters, comic books. You're gonna have this bit of a situation where, like, you now have to play every game, you have to see every cutscene, you have to see basically everything that a character has done in order to truly have a composite iteration of a character, and I not only feel like that's also a lot of, not only do I feel like that's a lot of work, but that's also, like, kind of, we're kind of getting into real fuck tiers here. But anyway, yeah.
Or means for doing so.
The
I guess by
original
these
Lobotomy
same
Kaizen
schematics,
is
I can now
crazy.
merge every single version of Cell, games, movies, anime, manga, all into one character, which will be extremely important later.
Image him within base, so he's relative to a universal, multiversal plus being.
Ha! Universal, multiversal plus being? Bro, you didn't even provide...
Yo, what was that?
Multiversal plus being.
Ha!
I gotta hear that in normal. Yo, bro pulled off one of my... Let me see this real quick. Alright, let's see this. Let me go back one more time.
To a universal, multiversal plus being.
Ha!
Oh, bro's a screamer. Bro's a screamer like me. Alright. Wait, what the fuck?
Plus being? Bro, you didn't even provide any substance for this claim. This is how far we're making these reaches go?
Also, let's not forget about Razor Jin, who was said to take out 100 out of the 1,000 universes of the Arabian Nights.
Bro, you didn't even prove that the 100 out of the thousands of worlds are in context to universes. Prove that the worlds are universes. Prove that these worlds are universal in size. You can't prove that these worlds are universal in size. It's like we're just saying anything now for Metal Sonic. What happened to proving claims? Okay, so now that I just got done finishing one of the most popular videos covering this topic and debunking it, let's go over who would actually win between these two. I'll start off with Perfect Cell, mainly because even my own community still speculates on how strong I think Perfect Cell is, so I'll just begin with him first to clarify. For Cell, he would have universal attack power, as it's consistently stated that he has infinite power, with even the title title of the episodes themselves, clarifying that he has a power level of literal infinity. Infinity, not using the term infinite or infinitely, which can just refer to greater or larger immense things, but infinity. People try to refute the concept of Cell having infinite power because it was stated that he has enough power to destroy a solar system. This argument fails because the translation they're using to even try to prove this argument to be the case is a mistranslation, and the actual translation does not imply anything about Cell having a finite power level. Adding more to this, the statement comes from the manga continuity of Dragon Ball, not the anime, and obviously you cannot use the manga continuity to justify scaling from the anime because they are two completely different continuities. For reference, that is like saying you can use MCU Spider-Man feats to downplay the comic version of
Usually I wouldn't necessarily, like, make a big distinction between anime and manga. In most cases, I wouldn't, or I would say in most cases, you'll actually find that, like, the anime and manga are pretty consistent with one another. Sometimes they do add a little bit of extra stuff in an anime. Usually it's extra scenes or extra fights, but it still usually it usually consistently stays about the same. That's not to say that anyone and everyone has to use both the anime and manga when describing both, and that both sides of scaling can be entirely the same. In fact, that's not entirely true. And there are some cases, like with Dragon Ball, where I would say I actually do agree with the notion that, like, Dragon Ball scaling does kind of change depending on whether or not you're using the manga or anime, because the anime does have a bit of extra things added in that does imply certain characters may be more powerful or they might be weaker. For example, Kid Buu. I think I'm not trying to start a debate right now. I think Kid Buu in the anime is implied to be the most powerful Buu, or like it's outright stated in the anime. I could be wrong on that. It might be the manga where he's implied. I think in the manga it's actually implied that it's Super Buu. I don't personally care which one of them is stronger. I will say I like Kid Buu more, but it's not like I really scale Dragon Ball yet, and if anything, I'm going to scale the manga anyway, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. Just trying to make that clear. On your stream about the comments stopped appearing. Any advice to fix this? I don't know, actually. What do you mean your comments stopped appearing? We're on live chat, so I don't know. I don't know, man. I'll be so honest. From, like, here's the thing, from a viewer perspective, I don't really know how live streams necessarily work in terms of, like, whether or not they're popping up. Only because I don't really watch other people's lives. So I'm sorry I can't help with that. Maybe we can troubleshoot that. Why do my messages stop appearing on YouTube Lives? Has everyone else experienced this issue? Automated filters, channel moderation, or technical issues with your account or browser? Generally, if you can see the message but no one else responds, it's likely being filtered or hidden rather than simply failing to send. Interesting. It's been happening to me a lot in the last couple of nights. Happens every third or fourth message. It's kind of random, quite annoying. 20 to 33%. So I would say it's kind of a waste. Yes, it's been very aggressively doing it today and in the past few days. We've been now. I thought it'd be hiked up because of censorship, but again, I tried and sometimes that's weird. I don't know. Yeah, Kid Buu's the strongest in the anime, right? No, I was responding to a guy in the comments, not the stream chat, and every time I sent a message, it wouldn't appear. Oh, I don't know then. I'm sorry. I ended up removing. I almost feel one for at this point. Hopefully now you'll know how to scale Naruto. Okay, what exactly did I scale wrong? I have deleted a couple of messages from the video specifically. I know you were referencing like a stream, but I have been deleting a couple of messages from the video, but that's just because people are calling each other idiots in it. What exactly did I get wrong? What exactly did I get wrong? Didn't Evil Boo blow a hole into reality in the hyperbolic time chamber? Yeah, he blew a hole between realities. You love when Naruto characters get out hacks and fans white about it. If the character uses hacks, they're better. Not to mention, has always wanted an absolute advantage by using verse equalization. That's a pretty good comment. This was all fun and games while I was installing any Naruto character past FTL blitz him in one shots, bro. Not getting past high tiers. Who in the high tiers? Who in the high tiers is objectively FTL? Because Madara's fastest
attack is stated to be light speed. He's shadow banned, not by the creator, but by YouTube itself. YouTube randomly tends to shadow ban someone if it happened to me randomly. Really? That's unfortunate. Alright.
Weaker than people think he is, which obviously is incoherent because they are not even the same version of the character. More backing up of Universal Cell comes from a statement from Namek Saga Frieza that he holds enough power to destroy the entire universe, and this is repeated multiple times by the narrator and King Kai. And obviously enough is a quantity. For example, I have enough power to flip a table. So people who want to dismiss this as a quote-unquote overtime feat are literally contradicting the definition of enough. By this logic, I have enough power to destroy a skyscraper because eventually throughout millions of years, I will eventually destroy the skyscraper.
I have enough power to destroy the universe. That doesn't necessarily mean he can one-shot the universe, though. Because over time would still technically apply. I have enough power. This dude's trying to use, like, definitions to try and essentially make an argument here, but the fact is, the onus would still be on him to prove that he has the actual damage output capacity to do the entire thing. Well, you could say that he has the attack potency to destroy the universe in the sense that he can just blow up planets, stars, etc., since we've seen that Frieza, for example, can do it quite easily. I don't know if I would exactly agree to the idea that because he said I can destroy the universe, and yet they only... I mean, Cell says he can blow up the solar system. He's going off about it being wrong, so sure, I'll give him that, but I don't know. We don't really get into even, like... I mean, even Kid Buu stated to destroy the universe, so that just make all of them universal?
Skyscraper with my weak and braille hands. Now, as for speed, it's really easy to use for Cell, since basically we'll be using a composite version of Perfect Cell.
Can you check what the last response to my comment about 6 dragons I left on the stream from 2 weeks ago? A stream... No!
So about a week ago, Death Battle announced that...
Wait, let's go back here.
Multiple times, but...
Sure. Let's go here. Give me one momento, guys. I do want to, like, fix this. Live. You said from 2 weeks ago? Which one was it, Aster? Yeah, what the fuck is the Cell image? Type shit. You said from 2 weeks ago. Okay, so we had back to editing streams in the mines. Is it the... Which of these is it? Which of these, 3? Yes, Lost Solos Naruto. Okay, let's check it out. I'll remove that. Where are the comments to this? Where do I look up for the comments? I never... recently uploaded, there we go. 5 dragons, there we go. Yeah, right here. These are the only comments right here. The character stated can blow up a planet, and that's unless we see something that gives more context to the statement. I do agree with that, like, I would agree that, like, an actual feat does... Look at, an actual feat does 100% help solidify the scaling. You can always use a statement, but the statement isn't entirely objective. A statement doesn't always have to be entirely objective, right? Like... At that point, it's basically just a conversation about, like, whether or not you think the author genuinely intended it for it to be the case. Okay. Have you read it twice? Yeah. Yeah, it's just not me. It's not just a meat thing. His comments just don't show up. Okay, so maybe the guy is just timed out. Anyway.
By the narrator and King Kai. And obviously, enough is a quantity. For example, I have enough power to flip a table. So people who want to dismiss this as a quote-unquote overtime feat are literally contradicting the definition.
Listen, if you give Kakuzu enough prep time, enough money, enough hearts, and enough tall tales that he threw a kunai at somebody and ran away, I'm pretty sure he could solo most verses. I'm pretty sure if you give him enough money, he can solo most verses.
Of enough. By this logic, I have enough power to destroy a skyscraper because eventually, throughout millions of years, I will eventually destroy the skyscraper with my weak and braille hands. Now, as for speed, it's really easy to use for Cell, since basically we'll be using a composite version of Perfect Cell in the
yeah,
movie
it's not exactly hyperbolic either, because they use the statement very often
and
also with other characters.
Timelines. And within the movie timelines, Cell would be faster than Metal Cooler. Metal Cooler is so fast that he can react to events that are taking place in between instant transmission, as he is shown speed blitzing Goku while the process process of instant transmission is
Yeah,
occurring
that shit
within
was
the
bullshit,
instant
I'm not gonna
transmission
lie.
space, a
Yeah.
space that is stated to transcend time. This would give Perfect Cell immeasurable speed. Now, I want to tackle some arguments that Sonic fans want to use for Metal Sonic that were not stated in this video. The first argument is, of course, the super dimensional stuff. Oh my god, I'll just knock this one out of the park. Argument 1. Super dimensional means Chojigan, and Chojigan needs to transcend dimensions, and transcending dimensions is outerversal. Transcending dimensions at face value is not outerversal. To actually be outerversal is to transcend dimensionality as a whole, or the overall concepts of time and space. Chojigan does not do this. This is because Chojigan could even be only 5D, 6D, 7D. Transcending any number of dimensions can count as Chojigan because it never
what's up,
clarifies
Mr.
transcending the entire concept of dimensionality.
Mr.
And what's
Rex?
worse about using Solaris to try to get Metal Sonic to these really high tiers is the fact that nobody in Sonic
You hate
scales
DB
to
power
Solaris.
scaling?
In the game, it is contextualized that his existence
I do
was
too.
anchored to this
Dragon Ball power scaling is kind of annoying, I'm not gonna lie. Have a good one, Aster. Hope you get some good night's sleep, man.
reality, or the reality that Sonic and Shadow are fighting in, which is obviously not a fourth dimensional or fifth dimensional plane of existence. This means that the true form of Solaris, the ultimate truest form of Solaris, is not even interacting with Sonic and the other hedgehogs. And what's worse is that Sonic, Shadow, and Silver do not even scale to Solaris in his anchored state. It is said that Sonic cannot defeat Solaris on his own, and it's also clarified that physical attacks from these hedgehogs would not work against Solaris. If you think that Sonic somehow magically scales to Solaris all the way back in 06, you're delusional. Speaking of bosses, Sonic, who is the rival of Metal Sonic, consistently needs to use weak points in order to actually take down bosses. Now, I would go into more debunks for the mainstream Sonic scaling, but I've already covered this in a video called Questioning Sonic Power Scaling, and also debunking Archie Sonic scaling and debating these Sonic fans who constantly try to spout this misinformation and they mercilessly get beat on. Now, for Metal Sonic, me personally, I have him at like Universal Plus with potentially infinite speed or faster than light speed if you really want to lowball him that much. There's not much going for Metal Sonic considering that most of the arguments I already addressed that people try to use are incoherent but Cell badly gaps in strength and speed. Counting anime, manga, and movie Cell alone with all of those continuity.
I think what they mean by hating, and to an extent I do kind of dislike this about Dragon Ball power scaling. Dragon Ball power scaling is a little free. What I mean by it's free, I mean that like characters can just sort of shoot up in power by like millions to infinite amounts of time within like relative seconds if it's necessary. Like characters just shoot up in power for like what seemingly feels like no reason. And yes, you could say that there is justifiable reason within the context of the story. These are Saiyan warriors who essentially are considered to be the ultimate warriors. They can adapt consistently. They can grow in strength very quickly. Cell does not have Kaioken, by the way. I think he can use it, maybe. I guess there might be an argument that he can canonically use it if you say that he has all of Goku's techniques, but I don't know, man. It doesn't really get confusing with data books from what I've seen. It only really gets confusing with data books. Data books can at least help with the actual like quantification of power of multipliers, which I do like. I actually do enjoy the quantification of the multipliers because it makes it a lot easier to like conceptualize how much more powerful these guys are. What I don't personally care for is like, yeah, just character A grows billions of times more powerful just in like in a couple of minutes. Like I don't like that personally. You know what I mean? Like it's just like oh yeah, Goku has this ability that makes him like auto dodge everything, and it's portrayed to be super OP. But then in the next arc, it's no longer portrayed to be OP because he's now fighting guys that are so much stronger that like it kind of invalidates the idea that like Goku is able to just have his body move on his own, and that's completely invalidated by I don't know, a character like Gohan who just naturally just grows to however strong the story needs him to be. Like, that's what I think people mean. Like, maybe you could say it's not bad because it's consistent, or maybe you could say it's not bad because it's, like, it's simple to understand, the concepts are very well laid out, etc., etc. But it's more so just like, why does it just shoot up so rapidly so quickly? I think that's what people meant. People don't understand that dimensions are properties of time position in space. Next time... Oh, you got your message retracted. Fuck. It's like fights, but it's complete nonsense. I like the fights, but it's complete nonsense. There's no linear logical scaling. Oh shit, we forgot that character exists. Give him a better form than Ultra Instinct. I wouldn't say it's better than Ultra Instinct per se.
And merging them into one, he's extremely broken, and this isn't even counting Dragon Ball Heroes or Dragon Ball Super if you want to include Cell Max. So yeah, be ready for the bullshit. So recently Death Battle just dropped Perfect Cell vs Metal Sonic, and needless to say, this was very expected for Dragon Ball to lose because that's the most common trope that Death Battle loves to appeal to, having Dragon Ball characters losing. A little while ago, I predicted that this Death Battle would suck because they never give us the respect we deserve as Dragon Ball fans when we actually present facts and evidence. However,
they never give us the respect we deserve as Dragon Ball fans. I'm sorry. Stuff like that's funny to me. I don't know. Stuff like that's funny to me. Which universe would win Pokemon versus Black Clover? If you ask our mod 6, Black Clover is outerversal, like 9th dimensional, so I'd probably put my money on Black Clover. I don't know where Black Clover scales, but I would probably still put it over Pokemon, because I don't think Pokemon's as powerful as people think it is. The Deep End, I love those guys, man. Yeah. Dragon Ball power scalers do sometimes also take it to the deep end, yeah.
One
It
position
is
that
pretty
Death Battle
fun,
did
though.
get
It
correct
is
was
pretty
that Cell
fun.
was faster than Metal Sonic, but not for the right reasons. So for this video, I have two goals. One is to prove that Death Battle was wrong and that Metal Sonic has
Goku can
no
dodge any attack until my glorious Black Frieza arrives and blitzes both UI and UE. Yeah. Goku has a form that's meant to dodge everything. Vegeta has a form that's meant to, like, turn any kind of damage into power. These two motherfuckers just got one shot. What the fuck happened? You know what I mean? It's just like, here's the thing, and listen, this is not a criticism. This is not an inherent criticism on Dragon Ball. And I hate that I have to specify this because I know that there are people out there who get very upsetty spaghetti when you say anything negative about the thing they like. Trust me, as what many people would refer to as a One Piece glazer, if I talk bad about One Piece, I promise you, any of the people here would probably come at me. Probably not any. I feel like we're slowly forming a community of people that aren't, so narrow-minded as to get upset that you said one thing. But anyway, so to specify, there's not an inherent criticism on Dragon Ball, though I do find it to be though I do say this as a criticism, it does not have to inherently be seen as one. Dragon Ball has an issue as far as its power scaling goes, which is something that I don't personally fully adhere to, but I do think, man, it would probably be better if it weren't for this. It is a series that essentially consistently wants its power system to be one that the more powerful you are, the less effective characters, hacks, abilities, etc. are on you. It also applies plot to plot because Moro was still able to affect Goku and Vegeta with magic. Maybe magic is just the exception. But in Dragon Ball, it doesn't matter what you have. It doesn't matter what powers you give the guy. It doesn't matter if you can manipulate time, space. It doesn't matter if you can warp reality. It doesn't matter if you can wipe out the universe over time or over a single blast. The simple objective fact of Dragon Ball is this. If you are more powerful than your opponent, none of that really matters. You can see it with Jiren, you can see it with the Dragon Ball superhero stuff, you can see it with many of the different versions of the series. It's a highly complicated physics aspect of reality. Even the best physicists don't understand. Remove it from power scaling. People don't know that dimensions are properties of your position in space. Third dimension is the depth, for example. When someone says it's 7D, ask them what it even is. Dimensionality is bullshit. I understand dimensionality is bullshit, and in power scaling is basically just a way to, like, essentially raise the cap on a character to say that they're essentially falling into tiers. It's just another way. To me, that whole idea of, like, this is why I say I don't really like Outerversal, and, like, these are just, again, concepts that people make up to say that, like, okay, characters essentially have to fall into these boxes. I don't like always putting characters into boxes, so I'm just like, I don't care. Loki, that isn't true. We saw Guldo was far weaker than Vegeta, but he was an issue because of his hacks. Not necessarily. Didn't Vegeta straight up overpower Guldo? What chapter does Vegeta fight? What chapter does Vegeta fight Guldo? $275. I can't believe I'm actually looking up Dragon Ball stuff. I never look up Dragon Ball stuff. Dragon Ball. Super color. Let's just type in Dragon Ball and see what we got. Oh. My eyes are filled with curiosity. Ah, fuck me. Alright. We'll just do the black and white version. Fine. We'll do the black and white version. What the fuck is this? Chapter 275. There's no way. What the fuck? What chapter? Dragon Ball manga. Jesus Christ. Dude. Does anybody know what fucking chapter this is? This is annoying. Hey, what's up, Zeta? Oh shit, Zeta's here. Hey, what's up, man? Vegeta literally decapitated Guldo without a fight. What chapter was that in, though? Oh, 275. Then why the fuck does this say something else? Dude, I really hate having to look up Dragon Ball stuff, man. I'm just typing in Dragon Ball and seeing what happens.
Dragon Ball Z Rebirth of F? No, we don't want that. Is it SD? No, it's definitely not SD. Let's just look up color. Yeah, I remember Vegeta decapitating Goldo. That's why I'm like, there's no way. I know it's just Dragon... I know it's just Dragon Ball. It's not... Alright, whatever. Let's see. Okay, they're traveling. Vegeta's still wearing his Saiyan outfit, so I imagine it... Yeah, Goku's doing the thing. Vegeta is traveling around. There's these guys. Cool. They show up. Vegeta's upsetty spaghetti. He threw the thing. That's right. Let's see. They raised up their power levels. Yeah. Brats, huh? They're not there. Where are they? How did they get there? Dang it, no longer. Phew. They must have stopped time again. They disappeared. Got hit behind a rock. They're so close. It takes too much power to hit while I'm... Freezing time. Yeah. Okay, so they stopped. What in the world? Okay. I told we were the psychic powers and they're attacking him head on. He's gonna impale them with a tree? Ah. So that's what had happened. Who wins, Yamcha versus the Naruto versus... I have no idea how strong Yamcha is. Probably him. I don't know.
Win conditions to beat Cell. And to give clarity to my previous video, because a lot of the people in the comments did not understand any of my arguments whatsoever. And to those people, if you disagree with my takes on Dragon Ball or just any take regarding power scaling, please come debate me. I've already said multiple times that my Discord server is in my bio. I am not reading your comments. Just go debate me directly if you disagree. You're just wasting your time and not getting a single response. For this video, I'm going to be collabing with my boy Trick, as it's a pleasure to have him on the channel. We'll be in charge of dividing this video into two sections, one of them being the Cell scale and the other one being refuting every single Metal Sonic WinCon to ever exist. Let's go to Perfect Cell. On to you, Trick.
So firstly, Frieza blatantly scales to Universal as way back in the Namek saga. It's stated multiple times that just in his second form, he's able to destroy the entire... So firstly, Frieza blatantly scales to Universal as way back in the Namek saga. It's stated multiple times that just in his second form...
What is Frieza really? I mean, what type of species? How did we get so powerful? Why does he have an army when he can blow up the universe with a blink of an eye? There aren't many of them, but perhaps they are new hybrid species that came into existence from an accidental spontaneous mutation in our grandfather's time. As for Frieza's men, he doesn't consider them an army so much as convenient followers. I don't know if I agree with just this. I'm like, okay, so here's the thing, right? I don't personally care which of these two wins. I don't know if I am personally okay. Like, so the interviewer asks, why does he have an army that can blow, when he can blow up the universe with a blink of an eye? I guess the argument here is that, like, he doesn't necessarily, like, contradict the, assumption that, like, Frieza can blow away the universe with a blink of an eye. So, sure, that's fine, but I don't know if I'm okay with using this, since it's not exactly the interviewee answering or, you know, making a claim on it. He's just sort of saying, like, you know... Also, it kind of feels weird to say that, like, perhaps they are a new hybrid species that came into existence from an accidental spontaneous mutation in our grandfather's time, considering that, like, what does it mean by, like, our grandfather's time? Does it mean, like, further back when Toriyama, from, like, Toriyama's grandfather's time? I mean, Toriyama was, like, what, in the 60s, the 70s? So, give an extra, like, what, 60 years to that? So, like, maybe, like, 120 years ago? But does that mean that, like, the entire Saiyan... Because I'm going off of, like, the Bardock special, right? Like, does that mean that the Saiyans fully evolved in, like, 100 years or some shit? Does anybody know if, like, the Bardock special is canon to anything? Is it canon to the anime? Because you know that, like, we see one of Frieza's ancestors. Whatever the fuck his name was. Chill, right? His name was Chill? Frieza's... No, his name wasn't Chill. It was something else. Frieza's species, I believe, are just called ice demons. I mean, Frieza is a conqueror whose whole business is taking over planets to resell them at the highest bidder. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about just this one. I'm fine with, like, the whole universe. I don't care for the universe scaling. But, like, this is... I'm just like, I don't know.
He's able to destroy the entire...
Gohan and Vegeta, who were getting stronger and stronger, felt threatened. Frieza, feeling threatened by Gohan and Vegeta's increasing strength, completed his final transformation. Contrary to his boyish body and gentle tone of voice, he has the power to wipe away out the entire universe. Okay, sure. He has the power to wipe out the entire universe. Sure. It's even got 2 different sentences for it. So, I think. Quadring and his father, King Cold, are considered mutants within their own species. That's at least what Google AI says. Okay. Scales relies on real string theory, which was popular the last few decades. Funny because string theory went nowhere. Power scaling has to adapt. The theory is bullshit. Ha. They were gonna die to a tree spear. Tree level kid go on and Krillin. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not here to like downplay them either. I think that maybe he charges up the tree with Ki. I know they can do that, so who knows. It's more enough time he can wipe out the universe, not that he can wipe it on one attack. I mean, he's never actually shown the capacity to do that, so, you know, it's fine. I think it's fine either way. Like, here's the thing, and I've spoken about this before. 1 second, guys. Guys, one quick, I mean, it's Dragon Ball, dude. You don't have to think about why the tree doesn't get destroyed in an instant. Just imagine that they're infusing it with Ki or whatever, and the tree stays the same. I think that's fine. Give me 1 second, guys. I gotta go take care of a TV thing. 1 second. Hello. Can you guys hear me now? Hello. Let me just make sure I'm sounding now. Yeah, we are. Okay, we're good. Sorry about that. For the next few weeks, you guys will probably, if I do streams, you guys will probably see me having to stop the streams every now and then, but it shouldn't be too long.
Of the living universe, as well as his existence being an active threat to it. And no, this isn't in reference of him just wanting to conquer it, because Frieza now has the power to destroy the universe, which implies that in his first form he couldn't, and between transformations it's his physical power that's changing, not his military power.
His first form, since he rarely ever fights, and he conquers planets with his armies.
If it was the second form that gave him the ability to conquer it, he'd always be in it. But prior to the Namek Saga, that's obviously not the case, as in non-combat situations he's always in his first form. This is also not an overtime feat, as the
Also, just to be clear, part of the reason why, like, I don't really try to, like, refute what these guys say, even though I don't personally think that Frieza is universal, is just because, I mean, listen, I'm not the most fluent Dragon Ball, scaler. I got most of my scaling from Seth the Programmer, and I think Swag Kage, and I guess 6. I don't really have a lot of, like, I've watched the series, I've read them, blah, 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 well, Super at least. I've read Super specifically. I don't personally care with the character scale, and I don't really have a reason to, like, you know, go out of my way to scale. Actually, no, I do have a reason to go out of my way to scale. I do have to scale a Dragon Ball manga. That's right. I do have to do that. But anyway, so once I get through that, right now, part of the reason is because you have different metas for everything. Listen, you have people arguing the Naruto
early part 1 Lightspeed meta, alright? That meta is complete dog shit, and, you know, you can easily refute it, but there are people who believe in it, and I'm not gonna hear tell people like, oh, hey, you know, you're XYZ because you choose to believe this. Like, no, I'm just gonna tell you I don't agree with it. You can believe whatever you want to believe. I don't have to agree. If there is I've never heard of a Frieza being universal meta, of a universal Frieza meta by, like, Z, but I think it's fine. I don't think that's an issue. It just kind of makes me wonder how strong then everybody else is then without, you know, the more consistent scaling of Frieza being star to potential solar system to or star multiplanetary star, etc., to Cell being solar system, the Kid Buu being galaxy, to them being universal and super, right? Like, just like a gradual increase. I probably more prescribe to that or subscribe to that, but I could also probably change my mind when I read through Dragon Ball. Just to make sure I meant the string theory was dropped by mainstream science. It being bullshit is not my arm and chair science opinion. Ah, okay. Also, another note, Buhan has a universal statement, so they're basically saying second form Frieza is as strong as Buhan. If you want to disagree with it, you are more than welcome to. I don't really think I have a reason to. Again, I don't really know the scaling all that well, but hey, I mean, fuck it, right? Who knew? What, I think, I remember someone said they're, like, called ice demons, but in the, whatchamacallit, the Xenoverse games. Yeah, the Xenoverse games. I think they just called them Frieza Race.
Language that's being used is that he wields enough power to destroy the universe, meaning that in his second form, he carries sufficient dormant power to annihilate the universe, and that isn't something he needs to recuperate his strength for. We can take this even further, as in his final form, the narrator states that his battle power is now of a different dimension, which contextually speaking would be higher dimension.
Okay, in that case, I would probably say it is a bit more hyperbolic, but yeah, sure.
As if it was just some alternate dimension, the narrator would be asserting that his power is coming from somewhere else, even though that's his own dormant power. As for Cell, reaching his perfect form puts him at a tier of power that's completely immeasurable in comparison to the Z-Fighters prior to the 10 Days of Peace. This is corroborated by the fact that Trunks, who at this point in time is way stronger than Goku and Namek, can't even do as much as make Cell budge. It's even stated that Perfect Cell had reached a battle power of infinity, which is consistent as Toriyama himself confirmed that after the events of the Namek...
wait, what the fuck? Wait. What are we using here? Are we using, like, anime? Are we using manga? Are we using both? I'm just trying to understand. Why does the speed up make it sound more annoying? I don't know, dude. Screen title scaling? I guess? Does... Okay, hold on. Are they using the anime only? Or are they using manga? Because they're using manga panels and anime, but I mean, in one of the last video that we saw from Zeta, it said that, like, I think he, like, was making a distinction between anime and manga. Yes to that answer, this is deep and basket. Alright, fuck it.
Saga, characters reach battle powers that are no longer numerically measurable, making it consistent that Perfect Cell had reached a battle power of literal infinity. Knowing that Final Form Frieza with the finite battle power was 4D, Cell, who's infinite in comparison to that, would have infinite 4D or multiversal plus attack potency.
Hold on. Hold on. I need to slow that down and understand what the I feel like that was extra fast too.
Finite battle power was 4D. Cell, who's infinite in comparison to that, would have infinite 4D or multiversal plus attack potency.
Holy shit. Hey, we did it! We can finally beat Superman! Super Goku finally beat Superman! Oh my god, Jesus Christ. 4D for Cell is crazy. I'm sorry, I don't know if I could prescribe to that. I'm gonna just keep hearing them out, but holy fucking shit, that is crazy. Yo, I've never heard multi plus Cell. I've been listening to the stream as a background for a while. Did I just hear multiversal and 4D for Cell? You heard him right. This is why I gave up on DBZ scaling. I think it's fine, dude. What the fuck? The scaling itself is fine. There's 0 holes in it, sure. I mean, I think they're taking a couple things hyperbolic, but sure. That's fine. Why did he say... We'll go up again. We'll go back again.
This point in time is way stronger than Goku and Namek, can't even do as much as make Cell budge. It's even stated that Perfect Cell had reached a battle power of infinity, which is consistent as Toriyama himself confirmed that after the events of the Namek Saga, characters reach battle powers that are no longer numerically measurable, making it consistent that Perfect Cell had reached a battle power of literal infinity. Knowing that Final Form Freezer with the finite battle power was 4D, Cell who's infinite in comparison to that would have infinite 4D or multiversal plus attack potency. You could possibly take this even further.
Alright. You have to prove the statements are hyperbole. I would probably say feats mostly, you know. We kind of get more feats from, like, later arcs, but, sure. Do you like Mr. Bean? As in, like, the guy? The actor? I guess morally and ethically speaking, I should say no. So I'll say no. Damn it, I hate dimensional scaling. Hey, what's up, Michael Dorsey? How's it going, man? I met Mondor can create several infinite dimensions, making a multiversal. Yeah, sure. Cell slams? Yeah, sure, I guess. 4D Cell being hyped up for being about to destroy a solar system. That's what I'm saying, dude. Hey, I mean, I got no... Hey, what? I don't really have anything to say on the logic, man. Fuck it. Can you make a video on Blackstar from Soul Eater manga versus current Zoro? I believe Blackstar wins high div. Sure. I'd have to read through all of... what's-his-face? Soul Eater first. I don't know if I have the time for that right now, because I'm still working on a couple of other projects, But Bulma from Chapter 1 defeats Kaido with her pistol. I mean, yeah. Bulma scales to universal beings, right? She slapped the shit out of Beerus. Bulma's like 5D because she was able to slap Beerus, bro. I don't know. Bulma slaps Kaido Bulma slaps Kaido on his fucking... What will she even reach? What, his ankle? His shin? Bulma slaps Kaido on his shin and he just instantly becomes a splat on the wall. Just a splat of blood on the wall. What if Frieza is 4D? Then what the fuck the dimension level is Goku at Ultra Instinct? That's what I'm saying. How long would it take Dubois from... Oh, the boys from Madagascar 3 to hunt the Biju. Oh, Dubois from Madagascar 3. Dubois from Madagascar 3. You guys remember who Dubois from Madagascar 3 is? I remember who this lady is. Dubois. Madagascar. Dubois was crazy. I ain't gonna lie. This lady, yo, if I could watch her introductory scene, her crazy like chasing on stream without getting the whole thing demonetized, I probably would. This is one of the funniest fucking chases I have ever seen. Yeah, no, she's the fucking Terminator. This lady's built different. This lady is absolutely constructed alternatively. Her voice is able to heal men. Her voice is able to heal the bodies of men who have gone through some of the worst car accidents I've seen, dude. She probably has light speed scaling. I believe it. I 100% believe it. It totally makes sense. I wonder if Zeta is actually here. I'd actually like to hear, like... I hope you're not taking any of like the laughing or stuff like that to be like a bad thing. I usually laugh at like insane scaling, and to be fair, it's not really a bad thing. Not always really a bad thing. I just find the scaling funny. I actually do enjoy scaling when it gets to like very hyperbolic tiers, at least in my opinion. Only because I don't know, it's interesting. He said hi in chat not too long ago. Yeah. I that's why I asked. That character's crazy. Totally. I'm not gonna lie. Yo, can she capture a tailed beast? Yo, do I just keep going on this? Nah, I'm gonna get way too much hate from the Naruto community. Here's the thing. I don't make the videos to piss off the Naruto community per se. I mean, I don't really have an issue with them per se. But like, I will say this. I'd rather not. I'm going to stick true to myself and put out the opinions that I do have, but I also don't think that I can like make too many videos where I give Naruto characters like consistent wins, and like at some point I feel like if I keep making videos that are just saying Naruto characters lose in some way, shape, or form, then I feel like I'm just gonna gain the permanent vitriol of the Naruto community no matter what. You ain't ready for 6D Yamcha probably versus Smoker, who's the more determined pursuer. Ooh, that's not bad. That's not bad. She literally went through a whole ass building full of walls to get to the animals. That's what I'm saying, bro. I like the video and I'm a Naruto power scaler. Hey, hello, I appreciate that. Honestly, as long as people at least understand the argument, even if they don't agree with it, I don't personally mind. Like, it's never about, like, trying to say, like, oh, yeah, law does show the Naruto-verse. This opinion's a fact. Like, I don't really care. It's an opinion. It's not a fact. So, hearing that, like, you know, whether or not you're a Naruto power scaler, Dragon Ball, or any other series, or even a One Piece scaler, you know, you're just getting into the hobby. If you like it, I think I just take that as a win. Like King Piccolo versus Kaido or something. Yeah, I could probably do King Piccolo versus Kaido. That is the issue. True power scalers only do videos out of spite and ignorance. True. If I'm not making spite matchups about verses where I have no idea what anything in the verse sounds like, that would be great. Dude, you know what I should have done? If I had been able to put up the video sooner. To be fair, though, I did bust my ass on that last day for the editing. But if I had been able to put the video out sooner, I could have probably made a video making like a Naruto why Sakura slams the whole Naruto verse as a joke. I could have made like an April Fool's video for that. I'll probably have to make one at some point and just have it like on the go for like April Fool's. Strongest version of Invincible that current Luffy can beat. I don't think there's a version of Invincible that can beat Luffy. Like, what does Invincible really have? I guess if you give him like the whole like traveling, the Omni-Man like traveling through space thing, then I'll just give Luffy the Doriki stuff, so that'll offset the speed difference. And then in terms of like, I mean attack potency, I mean sure he can bust a guy through a planet, but Luffy's made out of rubber. That Invincible only does blunt force attacks. I don't know if like any Viltrumite really beats Luffy. But then again, I don't know the scaling for the series that well, so I'm just not gonna really like make an actual claim on it. In fairness, spite and ignorance make me more powerful.
Final form Frieza shows that finite increases.
Like I said, Dubois versus Bijou would do numbers. Yeah, but if I say anything to Bijou lose, I'm gonna get a bunch of fucking vitriol. I should have made that should be a fucking that should be an April Fool's video.
And power level can make your attack potency increase in entire dimensions, and an infinite power level, which is equal to an infinite amount of finite jumps to until infinite dimensional attack potency. But for the sake of the argument, we'll just presuppose that he's only multiversal plus attack potency wise. As for speed, it's pretty simple. So having at least infinite power would mean he has infinite speed due to the attack potency speed correlation in Dragon Ball. We also know that Ki lets the user transcend their physical limitations.
Thank you, Julio. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that, man. It's really nice to hear that. I get a lot of negative comments all the time. Can technically do slashing attacks? Really? Can he now? Oh, okay then. If he can do slashing attacks, that might actually change things up a lot. Make the thumbnail Dubois instant all over wall and the Bijou heads. Oh, you know what it could be? Like Dubois in that running pose, and all the Bijou running like very cartoonishly away from her. With making bait videos about Naruto versus getting beat, but you get fuming over Sakura versus One Piece. Double standards here? Because Sakura doesn't beat One Piece. And I don't make bait videos. All my videos have genuine opinions backed up by evidence. You're just mad because you have absolutely no way of ever debating with me, I guess would be the word. Like, what do you want me to tell you? You make terrible arguments. I don't think you really know Naruto scaling that well. All things considered, you make things up. I don't know, man. Can weirdly do piercing attacks by thrusting their fingers forward? Okay, then. Okay. I could see that. Huh. Okay. That actually does change up things. That definitely does change things up, then. I could probably see an argument, then, for, like, Mark being able to probably slash Luffy. I'd have to see the actual feats and stuff, and I'll probably just, if I ever, you know what, I'll do this. If Invincible ever, like, fully comes out, like, everything is out, I'll probably actually consider, doing a, scaling for it. I'll consider doing scaling for the, anime of, the Invincible show, all things considered. I do enjoy it enough. The problem is Mark gets one shot with Juraneg because Viltrumites can't heal heart damage. True, okay. The Viltrumites need 3 or 4 people to destroy a planet's core, Luffy solos. Yeah, but Luffy hasn't destroyed a planet himself. That's the thing. As a viewer and an audience member, is it by chance that I watch your videos, so I think I'm demanding of your utmost respect, since without me, you wouldn't get views? Without you, I wouldn't get 1 view. Without you, I wouldn't get 1 view per video. I mean, my videos get whatever they get. You know what I mean? Every view helps. I would always appreciate a view. But I really do think you need to tone down the ego there a little bit. I'm just another guy, you're just another guy. No one's that special. You're not that special, I'm not that special. You know who is special? Those guys that are born like geniuses, athletes, all that stuff. Well, I mean, they also work really hard for it. It's not just them being special. They also work hard for it, yeah, to be fair. But anyway, I'm sure somebody out there's got something about them that's like really special. I'm just a chill guy. This is what I don't like about arguments about Luffy being immune from any blunt force attack. Like, the reason sharp objects cut because of friction with enough force, less sharp objects. Yeah, but it's kind of just straight up stated and implied throughout the whole story. We have no reason to assume that their slashes are strong enough to assume... I mean, I don't know how strong they are, to be fair, so I'm not really here to, like, you know, dispute that. If you want to do some disingenuous videos, you can cover Fairy Tail, you provide ignorance, and I provide the spy. Like, yeah, we could do that. Don't Viltrumites have, like, sonic attacks with their claps? That also works. Without me, you'll get 100 less views because I watch your videos on repeat. I appreciate that, dude. I appreciate that, Julio. Likewise, for piercing attacks. The feat so often mentioned, 3 Viltrumites had to go to a specific spot or else they died on impact after the universe's most powerful weapon destabilized the planet's core. Ah. Hey! $2 pre from Drake. I mean, does $2 make me special? No, but it makes you a very nice person, and it makes me really appreciate you a lot more than I already do. Not to say that I don't appreciate everybody here. Thank you for the $2. Can we get some W's for Drake, please? Appreciate that, man.
And it's used to amplify both speed and strength. So a being with infinite key output would be able to amplify their speed infinitely. And for Saul's abilities,
I don't
he has
steal
all of
Black
the
Clover yet,
Z-Fighter's
so I have
techniques,
no clue.
Piccolo's regeneration, Frieza and King Cold's potential, and grows a great amount near death like Saiyans. And he even gains the abilities of his opponents if pushed near death.
You know what, Aster? I think I've recovered properly after Uzumaki Blend said they weren't coming to my, yeah, the mic is, I will say the only criticism I have for this video is the mic is really bad. But, you know, probably the best they could get, so, you know. We, yeah, I don't personally make fun of those. As for recovering from the loss, I mean, you'd be surprised to hear, Aster, but before you showed up, Uzumaki Blend showed up. Yeah, he just showed up. He graced us with their presence. Or they graced us with their presence. I almost bawled into tears. Honestly, it was like watching, seeing them in my chat was like watching my future wife give birth to my first child. You know, it was just one of those experiences that only a person who's there could properly experience. Also, Julio for the 4 months. I really do appreciate it, Julio. Thank you so much. Jeff with the deep end Mog. Thank you for the $3. Can we get some W's for Julio and Jeff, please? As these scalers bring up other planetary feats for Viltrumites, now only moving a planet closer to the sun in a short amount of time, Tech Jacket hurling someone at the sun and making a big explosion. Oh, cool. So the world started spinning again? Yeah, the world started spinning again as soon as they showed up to my chat. Best they could get. If they have a phone, then they have a better mic on hand. I don't know what potato's being used. Yeah, you never know what someone's situation is, man. I'm trying to be nice here. Although the mic is ass, I will say. Like, nothing's stopping me from saying the mic is ass. But, I mean, you never know.
Death, as seen with Cell learning instant transmission from self-destruction. So in conclusion, Perfect Cell has all of this with multiversal plus attack potency and infinite speed at a bare minimum, with higher end.
Who could Ten Tails Madara defeat? Listen, I'll put it like this. If people genuinely believe Ten Tails Madara can fight somebody like Nappa or Raditz, I promise you, Luffy probably gets to, like, Namek Saga. Some crazy shit. I don't know, man. I don't know. If people genuinely believe that Madara can take on someone like Nappa or Raditz, I could probably get Luffy to beat Vegeta. I can probably make an argument for Luffy beating Vegeta, in all honesty. Holy shit, you're the GOAT, you deserve more? I don't know about deserve, but I always appreciate the, holy shit, I always appreciate the Big Dick Donos. Holy shit, Julio, thank you. Guys, can we get some massive W's for Julio? I don't know about deserve more. I'm just happy the video is at least, you know, like, getting some views, getting comments every day. Most of them came in from the first thing, and I got a lot of comments on the first go through, so maybe this one breaks through the algorithm better. I'm just hoping for that.
And interpretations getting him all the way to high hyperversal.
Thanks to Death Battle, the scaling for Perfect Cell is not limited to a single continuity as they use the movies, etc., etc. Meaning whether or not you believe or don't believe these series are connected to the main timeline of Dragon Ball, it doesn't matter. Which means I can use Cell from Dragon Ball GT, and you know how this goes. In Dragon Ball GT, Cell is able to scale to base GT Goku as he was able to temporarily absorb it. This is important because GT Goku destroyed the Sugoroku space in his base form with a Kamehameha. The same Sugoroku space which is stated to have no time or space. This is backed backed up by the narrator consistently, and is backed up by the fact that one of the death gods who has authority over the space points out how Goku would be trapped forever. In order for this to be possible, it must be the case that Goku cannot physically age, which requires time. If he could physically age, that must mean that he would eventually die of age, which would mean he wouldn't be trapped there forever. And having no time or space would also mean lacking the restrictions of time and space, which is outerversal by definition, as even infinite dimensional constructs necessarily need to have the restrictions of time and space, which include spatial extension and temporal duration. Even more consistency backing that the Sugoroku space is outerversal is that it's described as a similar example to the quote-unquote subspace category, which is...
Just by the way, just real quick, let me just say this. If these guys can use a Spanish fucking data book entry for any kind of scaling for whatever the fuck they're gonna use, I can use a French translation for second gear. It is all I am saying. Alright, what the fuck does this say? El mundo de Dragon Ball. Temas del mundo. Existe un subespacio que no pertenece a ninguno de los mundos que se muestran en la figura número 1. So I'm imagining that's the first one. Es en lugar interdimensional. Se separó del resto de las áreas donde no existen los conceptos de espacio y tiempo. Tiempo y espacio. Subespacio. Espacio que no pertenece a ningún mundo. La sala del espíritu y el tiempo y la sala de juegos Sugoroku son ejemplos de esta clase de lugares interdimensionales. So I can translate that real quick. Themes of the world. There exists a subspace that does not pertain to any singular world, which is shown in figure 1. It is in a place that is interdimensional. It is separated from the rest of these areas where the concepts of time and space don't exist. On the right, it says subspace, a space that does not pertain to any world. And then on the little left-hand side right here, it says the hyperbolic time chamber, or in my favorite case, the hyperbolarian chamber, and the subspace Sugoroku, the subspace of games Sugoroku, or I guess the living room of games Sugoroku, that's why sometimes translating sucks, are examples of these kinds of interdimensional spaces. Yeah. Hey. 3 can, you can translate them too. Sweet. Nice. So does the data book only exist in Spanish, or are they using the Spanish translation? I don't fucking know. I think this one, because this one's GT, I actually don't know. I know that one of them is Spanish only. I can't tell you for the GT one, because I genuinely have no fucking idea. I've never seen a GT data book. Yes, I know Spanish. It's my first language. Yes, other space-times can mean other planets, as gravity affects time and planets are different parts of space. Holy crap, also dimension sensing or another thing and not universal. Someone translates what he says. Does he speak Taco Bell? Fuck you! Alright, let's keep moving.
Described as
I'm just saying, if these motherfuckers can use a Spanish translation, I can use an a French translation. Yes, it's my first language. Basado. Type shit.
Concepts of time and space, and is separate from every area, which is inclusive of spatial dimensionality. So using Dragon Ball content outside of the main manga continuity is not looking good because it just
luck from One Punch Man. I think it's funny. I think it's the only thing about One Punch Man that I find kind of entertaining because it reminds me a lot of Oda's writing. I like it when guys consistently fail upwards. An absolute goober who has no business being where they're at or in whatever position that they're in, getting to that position because of sheer stupid luck is one of my favorite tropes in fiction. Then, by my logic, apparently being false, the ETSO from Kaguya does erase an entire universe. King's luck is kind of sad. That's what I'm saying. King's luck is kind of stupid because it's like he's just not meant to be anywhere near them. It's just somehow one glazed them at one point and it just spiraled out of control.
thus gives Cell outer-versal attack potency with irrelevant speed, which is something Metal Sonic cannot hope to ever achieve. Now let's debunk some of the counter-arguments proposed against the scaling presented in this video. People try to argue that Cell stated he would destroy the solar system and not the universe, so therefore Cell is not universal. But this argument fails because hyping up X does not mean Y is false. This also ignores literally every other scan we have of Cell.
But it doesn't make, but what makes Y true then? By the way, I don't know for sure because I haven't personally read these Spanish guides myself, but I've heard that they also contain claims such as Roshi's Kamehameha, the Boon one, generating a supernova. That's crazy. I mean, it just in general, they are hyperbolic. That's like the inherent issue with data books. They're not meant... Data books are not inherently meant for power scaling. We use them for power scaling, but I am of the opinion that in general, these guides are nothing more than a way to hype up the story. They are still a form of promotional material for it. If a random person, whether they know the story or they pick it up and read it, like what is on the page and like what's being hyped up, they'll probably be more willing to do that. If I could be wrong or misremember, but I saw something like that. Yeah, no, I'm not saying that like the guides necessarily have to be true or not. I'm just saying, whether or not you use a guide, I feel like it should at least be kept in mind that they are not inherently created for the purpose of being used for power scaling. They're most used by power scalers, but it is not their intended use, so to speak.
Cell being universal, so this ultimately shadow boxes and attacks nothing. They then try to use the argument that he says now he has the power to destroy the solar system, meaning he didn't have the power prior. But the issue is that...
Yo, somebody in one of these groups that I'm like on Facebook right now for like a second, I look down just to like look away from the PC for a bit. Yeah, somebody put up a post that said pre-time skip Sasuke versus pre-time skip Zoro. Sasuke gets negged so fucking badly, it's not even funny. Not gonna lie, I got an impressive D in Spanish in my last high school year. I didn't count for my graduation, so I didn't even bother, but I'm here for any German. I mean, hey, listen, in general, I just appreciate having people here that like enjoy spending time here, but the fact that like some of you actually are from other countries and just other cultures where like you guys can actually just straight up know other languages, that like in any case when it comes to power scaling it can just be used to like maybe translate some stuff. I think that's great. Honestly, I think that's fantastic. You know, it's like a little multicultural community where like we can all like do like our own little parts to like translate different things for each other. I like that.
This is a mistranslation. The actual raw Japanese text never suggests anything about Cell not being universal prior to his Kamehameha. And even if it did, this literally attacks nothing, because the statement only exists within the
12 minutes, so give about 6 more minutes.
Anime. So it's still logically available for anime Cell to be universal and manga Cell to be solar system level. There's no problem with this. People would also try to argue that GT Goku doesn't scale to the Sugoroku space because the Sugoroku space was allegedly quote-unquote destroying itself. But this argument doesn't work because GT Goku can significantly affect the space, or at least be able to contribute to its effects, so therefore he would scale to it, whether it did or didn't destroy itself. They'll also try to argue that lacking the concepts of time and space and transcending the concepts of time and space are distinct, but there's literally no symmetry breaker, because if you lack the concepts of time and space while existing simultaneously, then you wouldn't be subject to those restrictions, so therefore you would be universal. I've also been seeing people try to use Majin Buu to debunk Cell being universal, but the issue is that Majin Buu is also universal. Now here's the funny part with Cell scaling that I think a lot of people ignore, because if Imperfect Cell is stronger than Namek Saga Frieza at full power, who is our universal, then that would mean that Semi-Perfect Cell and Perfect Cell and Super Perfect Cell would be astronomic amps on top of universal. So even if you scaled Metal Sonic to universal at the bare minimum, Cell would still be stronger because of these astronomic amps. So in conclusion, I have Perfect Cell at universal to outerversal in terms of attack power and MFTL plus 2 irrelevant speed. Now how does Metal Sonic hold up against this? Well, yeah, it's not fair. He doesn't match any of this. Now let's dive into every single counter argument that we can provide against every single Metal...
Can I just say, and... I mean... The one thing I will say that I don't like about like the structure of videos like this is that like they don't kind of focus on both sides, so it's kind of like, well, Metal Sonic doesn't win, but like, I don't know. I get all of this scaling, but can't you just do the same for like certain statements? I guess like he's already debunked them, so sure. Let's
Metal Sonic argument in his favor. The main argument is that Metal Sonic can just copy Cell's DNA or his biodata and he would win via this ability. This argument doesn't logically follow because Metal Sonic is not a living being, and to even have Ki in the first place, you must be a living organism. And you also must be able to copy a spiritual metaphysical energy on top of this requirement. Now let's go over Metal Sonic's actual copying ability and what it is. What Metal Sonic does is that he copies one's biodata, which is essentially one's biology, and he does it in the way of mimicking abilities. For example, a chameleon can camouflage. So if I'm Metal Sonic, that means that I have the ability to camouflage using this ability. However, we must understand that there is a distinction between biological abilities and actual biology. Metal Sonic cannot literally copy your biology one-to-one, especially when we consider that he's an artificial robot, so he's not a living being, meaning he cannot literally have biology. It's the same way a plane can fly just like birds can, but it's not an actual living being, it's just a vehicle. It is basically just copying abilities that are intrinsic to one's biology, but not the biology itself. And even if Metal Sonic could copy Ki, it wouldn't be the same quality as Cell's Ki. You would need to prove that. And if it was identical to Cell's Ki, this is literally a win con for Cell, because in Dragon Ball, if you do not train yourself to handle a specific quality of Ki, you will literally explode, which is exactly what happened when Moro tried to copy Ultra Instinct. He quite literally could not contain this Ki. People will try to argue that Metal Sonic can copy Ki because he can copy abilities that require Chaos Energy, but this argument sucks because it presupposes that Ki is the equivalent of Chaos Energy. And no, I'm not allowing verse equalization. Literally anyone can just deny verse equalization, and this argument wouldn't even follow. By the way, this argument is literally self-defeating, because if Metal Sonic can utilize Chaos Energy, it means that Chaos Energy does not necessarily require you to be a living being, which makes it distinct from Ki. It could also mean that Chaos Energy is intrinsically linked to biology as well. And speaking of, Ki is not intrinsically linked to biology. It is a spiritual energy distinct from the body to amplify one's physical strength and other stats. I've also seen people try to justify the androids being able to use quote-unquote Ki, so therefore Metal Sonic could use Ki or some sort of Ki-like thing. But no, because this presupposes that the
Rendo più felice quando condivido la mia cultura o capitoli con I piedi dei personaggi di Fairy Tail. I think I can figure out what this says. Ti rendo più felice quando cultura o capitoli con the person. You definitely said. You definitely said something about your culture. You definitely said something about your culture. Does piedi mean piedi? Because pie in Spanish is feet, is foot. Piedi from characters from fairy. I'm just putting this on camera. Let me see what the fuck this says. I'm just translating this right down from my phone. Do I make you happier when I share my culture or chapters with the feet of fairy tale characters? I'm character. You want to figure out what I said though? I put it together. I kind of did. I kind of had an idea of what it was. So yeah, do I make you happy when I share my culture and chapters of the characters of female the feet of characters of Fairy Tail? I do like hearing about Italy. I will say I do definitely like hearing about Italy.
androids and Metal Sonic function
Let's
under
not
the
get
same
on the
artificial
Lunar
mechanics, which they
train.
need to justify. Unlike Metal Sonic, it's already verified by the series that the androids have an energy type that is literally akin to Ki one-to-one. We can't just baselessly assume that Metal Sonic can do the exact same thing just because the androids can. You actually need to justify that intrinsic to Sonic's franchise and not to Dragon Ball, because one doesn't justify the other. So I think I've made myself pretty clear throughout this video that Metal Sonic cannot copy Perfect Cell. So now let's get into the other scaling that people want to argue for Metal Sonic and why it fails. People try to argue that Metal is above Solaris, and Solaris is a superdimensional being, so therefore Metal Sonic has superdimensional power. Superdimensional power is higher dimensional, so therefore Metal Sonic would be somewhere around the lines of these multiversal, low complex multiversal ranges of power. But this argument fails because it severely ignores context. Solaris is a superdimensional being, yes. However, Sonic does not scale to the superdimensional essence of Solaris. This is because the story contextualizes that Solaris had been dimensionally anchored or maintained, meaning he's not actually superdimensional, but rather that his existence is now maintained or limited to 3D reality. We know this is talking about dimensionality because a higher dimensional being cannot exist or operate within a lower dimensional 3D reality, because they are infinitely more complex spatially with higher degrees of freedom than that said reality, making them inaccessible. And the place Solaris and Sonic are fighting in is a three-dimensional reality because it's basically just a time-space nexus of the universe. So now that we know that Sonic wasn't even fighting the 5D or 4D Solaris, we also need to understand that he doesn't even scale to the anchored version of Solaris. This is because it's contextualized within the story that Super Sonic cannot take on Solaris on his own, and that physical attacks cannot work on him. So yes, this clearly verifies that Sonic does not even scale to this version of Solaris. I've then seen people try to say that Infinite is stronger than Solaris because of this famous statement right here, but this argument is so bad because this could literally just be dismissed as promotional marketing hype for Sonic Forces and not to actually reflect a fact about the narrative. It could literally just be promotional exaggeration, which is something that advertisements are known to do. So Sonic fans, please stop using this garbage.
Couldn't you just make the same argument about any data book? Kind of killing a lot of like the universal arguments for these characters. So if he's using context against Metal Sonic but not Dragon Ball. Yeah, that's kinda yeah, it's a hyperbole, right? See, like, that argument kind of falls apart when you consider the thing I said before about, like, the data books, where it's like, they're just promotional material, really. They're just there as, like, an encyclopedia of, like, information for the series, but, like, nobody's really reading that shit, you know what I mean? I don't know, man. I don't know. In some cases, that hyperbole shit, yeah, that's always what gets people. That is always what's gonna get somebody.
garbage promotional argument. This even happens in Dragon Ball 2. There's even promotional statements of Goku and Gohan being the strongest father-son duo, despite the fact that the Grand Priest and Whis exist. The next argument to scale Metal Sonic high is by trying to argue that Metal Sonic scales to the
at least
Arabian
he
Nights,
made a
which have a bunch of
comparison.
universes or thousands of universes. But this claim is not backed up anywhere. In fact, it's the exact opposite because the Arabian Nights is just one world split into multiple and can be perceived from one another. But this claim is not backed up anywhere. In fact, it's the exact opposite because the Arabian Nights is just one world split.
There are a total of 8 worlds in all, but only the Lost Prologue is available when a new game is started. New worlds will become available as soon as Sonic clears. That sounds like more of... Okay. Here's the thing that I hate about video game scaling. This is kind of taking an in-game mechanics then, because you have to unlock the worlds by clearing missions. I don't know, man. And it's only available, only the Lost Prologue is available when the new game is started.
Split into multiple and can be perceived from one another, meaning that these are not separate spacetimes and these are most certainly not infinite. So no, the Arabian Nights scaling is not anywhere near multiversal. I've also seen people try to back up that these are multiple universes because they have multiple stories or that they function off of different physics. But this doesn't logically follow because even our own world has plenty of non-fiction stories. That doesn't mean those stories
I agree, dimensional scaling is extremely confusing because you have to basically just accept a lot of bullshit, which I guess, sure, power scaling, you have to just accept a lot of bullshit in general, but like, I don't know, with high dimensionality shit, it feels like you just have to accept a lot of bullshit.
operate under different spacetimes. This argument is so stupid. And the physics point also doesn't help their case because there are many planets contained within the universe that operate under different physics. For example, there is a difference between Earth and Jupiter's gravity being much different from each other. And both of these planets exist within the same space-time continuum. So no, distinction in physics does not equal spatio-temporal distinction. People try to argue that Metal Sonic scales to infinite and infinite created the null space, and the null space is a place that is stated to be separate from every dimension. This would be inclusive of spatial dimensionality, so therefore Metal Sonic is out-reversal. This argument doesn't logically follow because it's pre-assuming the word dimension is directly tied to spatial dimensionality or every and all examples of something that can be accounted as a dimension. It can just mean that it's separate from every single universe or every single timeline. It does not have to be an index to spatial dimensionality.
Couldn't you just make the same argument for like the mini time spaces in GT? Couldn't you just make the exact same argument? Am I missing something? Can you guys tell me if I'm wrong on this? Isn't it? Yeah, isn't it like the same thing as like the mini subspaces, like between dimensions, or whatever? Like in Dragon Ball? I don't know, man.
People try to prove the context is talking about spatial dimensionality because it uses the kanji jigen, but Japanese translations don't dismiss semantical ambiguity, and they could use the word jigen to express a universe or just another timeline. So this literally attacks nothing. Speaking of translations, let's use Sonic fans' logic against them.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know GT well enough to comment either, which is why I'm asking. Like, isn't there like a Hell Dimension 2 or something? Hell is in and of itself its own universe-sized realm in one of the data books, or at least it's perceived to be. Hell and Heaven within the cosmology of Dragon Ball are both infinite-sized realms, the same, both in scale with our universe. So all three in scale with our universe. It's like a macrocosm that's 3 times larger than ours. Bro gave everything to Cell, but took everything away from Metal. What's your question? It was just about GT. Wouldn't the same kind of logic about like the dimensionality stuff apply to like the subspace and that like Goku allegedly destroyed in GT? Going into the back rooms or being chased by Jason Voorhees. What the fuck are the back rooms? I'm not answering that. I don't even have vested interest in who wins between Cell and Metal Sonic, but I get the impression that this guy's kind of ratty or / cherry picky with his scaling. Huh. No. Okay.
Some people try to argue that superdimensional is equivalent to an outerversal transcendence because it translates to transcend dimensions, and to be outerversal you must transcend dimensions. Aside from the wild amount of assumptions for the words transcend and dimensions, the statement doesn't even prove this in any form, because even something fifth dimensional can transcend a set of dimensions, but something fifth dimensional is not outerversal. But anyways, back to abusing your logic, we can apply this to Dragon Ball, because
this is legit a fact that they downplayed Cell? I'm not really being salty, I'm just listening to the logic and it sometimes feels a bit cherry-picky. I'm not upset at who wins. I don't like Metal Sonic that much. Out of the characters I play in fucking Sonic Racing Crossroads, I probably play him the least. Is a liminal space realm that is seemingly endless, full of stranger things. Check out the trailer for the movie coming out soon. Backrooms is a horror concept of an infinite dimension of space made in a movie. But you play Sonic though, don't you? Yes, and I've watched Dragon Ball. What the fuck is your point? What kind of reasoning is this? Where the fuck's the logic going? Oh, but you played a Sonic game. Oh my god, you played a Sonic game, therefore you must be a Sonic stan. You must love Sonic. You must think that Sonic's like the greatest thing since sliced bread. Yeah, I've also read Dragon Ball. No, you haven't. You haven't seen a single episode of Dragon Ball. Because if you watch Dragon Ball and you actually like Dragon Ball, then you would absolutely be in agreement that Cell wins regardless of how the scaling sounds. Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Fucking hell. What are we doing? I was just questioning the logic. Some people here were questioning the logic too. I don't care who wins.
I'm okay. I'm just like, Jesus Christ.
Because Garlic Jr.'s dead zone is stated to be a super space, as it uses the kanji Cho Kukan.
All
and
of
for
this
their
just
logic,
to be
Cho
soccer
means to
victims?
transcend.
That's what I'm
So it's
saying,
really
bro.
transcending space.
That's what I'm saying. All of this just to be Itachi's sister-in-law's victims. Cell loses, but he's still the best villain in DB history. Hey, you think he's the best history shit? he's got an interesting design. I will always say this. He's always had an interesting design. I did like Cell 2's design, but then when they made Cell 2 and Cell Max the Cell 2 version, I just didn't like it anymore. I'm like, nah, this is not it.
And transcending space is necessary for outer
Cell's
versal.
an
So
amazing
therefore,
design.
Garlic
He
Jr.
does
is
have a
outer
pretty
versal,
damn good
and Perfect
design.
Cell
He
is
does.
stronger than Garlic Jr. You see how sucky this argument is? Yeah, don't use this. People
All
try to
that
argue
to
that
be
Tiny
law
Eater scales to
victims?
this place called
Probably.
White Space, and Metal Sonic is stronger than Tiny Eater, so therefore Metal Sonic is outer versal because White Space lacks spatial and temporal dimensions. This is not true for many
Kid Buu personally. I just like the chaos. Sometimes, here's the thing, I like there being depth to things, but sometimes if the depth is just has glasses when she has Sharingan, maybe her eyesight's just worse when she has them off. There's also canon reasons, something about like she had a Sharingan when she was young and it fucked up her eyes or some shit. Wasn't 18 a minor because they were technically a year old or so? No, they were originally humans. I just like the simplicity of Kid Buu. In Kid Buu's case, you hate the lips. I don't mind them. As far as Kid Buu goes, it's just the chaos of it. He just does what he does because he just nobody could check him. The guy can just infinitely regenerate. And now that I think about it, Kid Buu's kind of busted because he can like, if you cannot actually just completely annihilate him, he'll just grow back from like smoke. What do you think about Baby from GT? Baby was fine. I didn't care for the villain. I never liked that Vegeta got turned into a villain, but I do think the concept of like Vegeta being a villain again is cool. Dante and Virgil versus Vash the Stampede and Million Knives. Which team wins? I have no idea who the fuck Million Knives is. What do you think of Goku as a bad father? He's not the best father out there. I don't think he's a terrible father. There's definitely worse fathers out there. I wouldn't call him a good father. He does care about his family. But you can care about your family and also make bad choices. I don't know.
reasons. Shadow directly states that he can use Chaos Control, and to use Chaos Control means that you can stop time, and if there was no time, there would be nothing to stop, but there is something to stop if Chaos Control is available. It's also contextualized that when the story treats the phrase no time, they're not talking about literal atemporality, but rather the complete stoppage of time, meaning time still exists. Going back to no space, people try to argue that no space is infinite because Sonic stated that it seemed to have no end, but for this argument to work, you would literally have to argue that Sonic has the ability to perceive infinity, which is never justified anywhere. Also, something appearing to have no end does not mean it has no end, and more proof that this statement would not be reliable is that the Phantom Ruby is directly—
Something that appears to have no end does not mean it has no end. Go back and...
Also, something appearing to have no end does not mean it has no end, and more—
Something appearing to have no end does not mean it has no end. Something appearing to not... Something... I don't know, man. Perfect Cell might be the cleanest design in DB history. I don't know if I would agree with that. Yeah, Shaw Tucker is definitely up there for worst dads. I think the worst father is the father from Full Metal Alchemist who transformed his daughter into a dog. Yeah, he was terrible. How didn't the animals and sentient creatures get put under Genjutsu even though the animals didn't have chakra? Because they do have chakra. Everybody and everything in Naruto has chakra. How didn't they get put into Genjutsu? How didn't they? I'm assuming English isn't your first language, and I don't say that's a bad thing, just because that sentence doesn't make a lot of sense, that question. Yeah. It's stated in Boruto that the divine tree suck all chakra, thus killing all life. If it kills all life, that means all life must have chakra. How did they get put under Genjutsu? Because they have chakra. It's not a very hard concept to understand. They have chakra as well. Do you think Goku could have been a better dad? Definitely with the whole Gohan Cell thing. Like, I get that he trusted Gohan, but like he really did think that like Gohan was just a mini him, which he wasn't. Goku abandoned his family and flew away with Boo's reincarnation to train. It was a W move. That's crazy. A good example would be like the Mariana Trench, Crater Lake, Cola. You physically cannot see its end, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have one. Yeah, I guess. Goku could have not given Cell a sense of being for one. Yeah, that also works.
More proof that this statement would not be reliable is that the Phantom Ruby is directly stated to be an illusion-based ability, meaning that characters who are subject to the Phantom Ruby
Judge or Kaido, who's the most abusive father, both starved their children. I guess... No, Kaido starved and imprisoned his child. But Judge also turned a blind eye to his children, other superpowered children beating his son. But Kaido also allowed and beat... Not only beat his son, also allowed his men to beat his son. Probably Kaido. Probably Kaido.
Ruby are also subject to illusion, and almost every no space statement comes from a character that is subject to the Phantom Ruby, which ironically enough provides us a strong basis to question every statement to be true. Also, the fact that the no space is a direct byproduct of the Phantom Ruby may or may not suggest that the no space never existed to begin with. People try to use Ian Flynn to prove that Solaris destroyed the concepts of time and space as a way to get him to out-reversal, but this argument logically fails badly because Ian Flynn, by his own admission, admitted that the concept of time and space, according to his own interpretation, is fourth dimensional.
Entire concept of time, the fourth dimension.
And not only that, this also goes against other views because he views Infinite as weaker than Solaris. And the end.
Infinite is not even in their league. We discussed this before. When you get down to Solaris, is probably the most powerful, but the end's pretty high ranked up there. Second place.
People also try to use the Egg Wizard, who is stated to allegedly transcend dimensions, as a way to get him to higher dimensions.
Go back.
Their league. We discussed this before. When you get down to Solaris, is probably the most powerful, but the end's pretty high ranked up there. Second place.
People also try to use the Egg Wizard, who is stated to allegedly transcend dimensions, as a way to get him to higher dimensional in power, but transcendence doesn't necessarily have to mean a higher spatial axis. It could just be talking about cross.
If Cell was backed into a corner, would he not just blow up the planet like Frieza did on Namek? Goku is giving Cell a false sense of security so that planet wasn't in danger. I mean, he didn't know about the explosive at all, so why would that have been his reasoning? Kaido, Yamato.
Crossing between dimensions or superiority in spatial position. There are many, many ways to interpret transcending dimensions. Now that I've debunked basically a bunch of these Metal Sonic arguments, let's also go into his speed scaling.
I don't know,
People claim that Metal Sonic has
imprisoning
an
your
inevitable speed
child
because
and
of these
starving
really
them is
odd
pretty
translations
fucking
people have
bad.
sent me relating to Sonic's
What was I scarred one of his children's face? I don't know, man.
CD about his ability to travel through time. Even if I do grant that he can time travel through these translations, time traveling is not a measurable speed because it's still applicable to the speed formula. It's just distance divided by time, but you're applying time with negative numbers, and these can actually give you valid equations from the speed formula. And if your speed is applicable to the speed formula, then that means your speed is measurable. I've also seen people try to argue that Metal Sonic can move through stop time, so therefore Metal Sonic has infinite to a measurable speed, but this argument also doesn't logically follow, because it can be the case that he can move through stop time as a means of a hacks ability, as opposed to something accounting for his actual speed. For example, in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Dio can stop time, and he can move within the stop time, but he is not a measurable speed. It's just a hacks ability that is granted by his stand in order to move in stop time. We know this doesn't account for his speed because we're blatantly told that the World and Star Platinum both operate under finite measurements of speed. So given this, it does not have to be a narrative account for a measurable speed. Okay.
What kind of defense for fucking Kaido is this? You've got problems. You're trying to defend that shit. Yamato is a Shibra. Yeah. Just use whatever pronouns you want for her. I don't think Yamato cares. Just use whatever pronouns as long as you guys are just referring to Yamato and you're all aware of it. You guys don't need to make a whole thing of it. Egg Wizard transcends dimensionality. Does the Egg Wizard actually transcend dimensionality, or are you guys just saying that? Just because something's the size of a universe doesn't automatically mean it is a universe. Okay. What kind of speed calcs does JoJo Bizarre Adventure have? Immeasurable if you go by time stop.
We're finally at the end. After all of that, I think
Yamato
I
is
finally
Odin, yeah.
managed to get rid of all of the major Metal Sonic arguments. If there's anything regarding Archie, I already covered in my Archie Sonic video. After finally engaging with every single Metal Sonic argument, I think I've made myself very clear, and Trick has made himself pretty clear, that Perfect Cell would absolutely destroy Metal Sonic with no difficulty. Anyways, that's all I got for this video. I hope Sonic fans can actually see the perspective that people on the negative positions hold, and actually acknowledge how to make an argument, because this is not it, and this was never it in the first place. Hopefully Sonic fans can actually see alternative
That's fine. I sometimes use he, him. I sometimes use she. I sometimes use they, them. I don't think it's that serious. I don't think Yamato would personally care as long as as long as you still call them Odin at the end of the day. I don't think Yamato cares. I don't know. I'm repeating what the guy said. I find the statement funny because of the name. Yeah. All right. Let's check out some Centuria. I'm going to check out some Centuria real quick, then I'll probably hop off. Okay.
1 second. Alright. What's Centuria? Let's check it out. It is a manga that has been recommended to me by one of our moderators. Yamato's a man, but whatever. Yeah, man with very big breasts. Alright. We don't need to argue about whether or not Yamato is can be man, woman. I don't think they care. Just call them Odin. Just say Odin. Sold into slavery by his own mother, Julian. We're gonna call him Julien. Julien has nothing but pain and brutality. Knows nothing but pain and brutality. All that changes when aboard a slave ship he experiences the kindness and the tender touch of a loving person for the first time. But fate has plans for Julien in the blood awakening of an ancient god who strikes a cruel bargain. An innocent life in exchange for extraordinary powers. One must use to protect a helpless baby in a cruel world and violent world. Oh my. Oh. So this guy's protecting this baby. Okay. Got it. Type shit. Oh man, but you don't see them cannons? Never in my life have I held anything of value. Julien, you mongrel! A slave is an outcast from birth, one who is denied the personhood and dignity of a human being, and is permanently subject to the continuous violence and domination of others. One who owns nothing and shall never be allowed to possess anything. 100 slaves are the largest shipment we've ever had. Captain, you're sure about passing through these allowed waters? Lot of ships been lost there. I hear the place is cursed. Some sort of legendary monsters live there and demands sacrifices. Rest. I can't do it. Listen, my voice is fucked up right now, so let me not do that. Rest your worries. We're not going through. Only around. The dangers, the reason we're headed that way. It's the one place both the Navy and pirates daren't approach. Lowers our chances of getting caught, meaning it's the perfect place for our undertaking. Captain! We got a stowaway. Want us to kill him and throw him overboard? I see to it. Please don't, he's just a child. That's right. Quit chattel. Quit chattel. Quit chattel? Chattel. Or is that just a name? I don't know. Look here, nothing's worse than the person who can't use their hands. The harbor's far away, we've got enough provisions for the crew and you 100 slaves. Haven't got nothing to spare for a stowaway. I'll give him some of mine. But you're in the family way. If anyone's to share with the lad, it should be me. Oh, you're in the family way. I guess because she's bearing a child. Cool. I'll spare him some of mine. Same here. Me too. Bleeding hearts. Fine enough. Just keep it quiet. Do what you like. This isn't worth my time. Welcome aboard. You'll be slave number 101. It's because she's pregnant. I thought so. Why did you sneak aboard? Heard I can make money on a continent. I'm gonna buy my freedom. But why offer your food to me? You didn't have any reason to help me. No one treats us like we're humans. That's why we need to look out for each other. It's important to have compassion. So you people, even when there's nothing in it for you. So you help people even when there's nothing in it for you. I don't get it. What's the point? It's how we keep our dignity as human beings. My husband gave this to me, but never had the money for its upkeeps. It's so rusted. Give it here. I'll sharpen it, huh? I'm just paying you back for the food is all. I can restore a simple blade. You know how to sharpen a knife? Where'd you pick that trick up? Where'd you pick up that trick? Dude. When I was little, my mom sold me off for pittance. Ended up as a blacksmith's slave. That's where I learned. Got covered in soot and ashes day in and out. Doing whatever odd job they made me do. Every little mistake earned me a mark of blazing hot metal. God damn. I knew he was getting close to killing me, so I grabbed the closest thing on hand, this whetstone, and actually cracked his head open. Nobody's ever shown me compassion, not my mom or anybody else. I don't know a thing about human dignity or whatever either. Here, it's done. Careful with it. If you get caught with it, they won't let you off easy. And don't expose it to the ocean air, it'll rust again. Thank you. So, what's your name? Julien. Mine's Mira. Mine's Mira. Glad to meet you. Alright, let's see. Yes, we have seen it. Check the pinned comment. It's pretty new. It's still under 100 chapters, but it's pretty good. I'm too busy reading Hajime no Ippo right now. Nice. That's classic. When are you due? Soon, probably around the time we get to the continent. Here, have a feel. That's so strange. It's moving. Yes, because it's alive. I hope my baby can have a safe delivery and grow up to be happy. I'm not really sold on this guy never knowing happiness. I'd trade a lifetime of suffering just for that. How can you say that? What's wrong, Julien? I don't know. My chest is clenching up. My mother sold me. I always thought I was just the way things were. I wish I'd never learned there were mothers like you in the world. It may be difficult for you after you lived in such a ruthless world, but please don't lose heart. I want you to learn about these things. This world has love and kindness in it too. I'm not sold on this guy being that sad yet. So please don't give up on other people. Her beating chest felt so warm. Time to clean up, slaves. Gather on deck. Could you show some leniency on the last? If you don't work, you don't eat. I'll do Mira's work for her. Punches him in the face. What makes you think you kind has got anything to say? Has got to say anything. I'm good at odd jobs. I do a better job than a pregnant lady. Playing a good Samaritan, are you? You make my stomach turn. Slack off, and I'll kill you. Are you right, Julien? Why would you do that? It'd be good if your baby's born healthy, so you should rest up. Thank you. I can stand to take less. You're the oldest out of us, so eat your fill. If you go down, that's more work for me. I haven't stooped low enough to take handouts from a kid. He means you can have all of that. You're not sleeping. I'll retch if I lay on my side. It's easier to rest upright. Must be hard having a baby. You're amazing, Mira. No one's ever complimented me directly like that, but still, I'm not as good of a mother as you think. I had a son who would have been about your age, but he was killed in a slave hunt. He died in my place because I was pregnant. I was his mother, and I couldn't protect him. I can still remember his smile. It's so clear to me even now. I failed him as a mother, but still, since my son protected this baby, I want to make sure it has a safe birth. But I'm still worried. If it's born into a world like this, will it ever find happiness? To kids, parents are their whole world. Since it's getting your love, Mira, and since you want it, I'm sure your baby will be happy. I'll wish for that too. Their breath must stink. I'm sorry. Their breath must stink. Bro was enslaved and sold by his mom. What do you mean? I'm not getting sadness from him, though. Usually in situations like this, where like we're trying to express a character being extremely sad, I'll put it like this. I guess I've seen enough media to where maybe my preferred version of seeing a character, and I guess you could say their pain is to see it not only through an actual emotional look. This guy doesn't really look to me like... This guy looks to me like more alive and determined rather than like beaten and knows no kind of happiness. I think that's just... Yeah, it looks like he's mentally hollow, which is fine. It's just not hitting me as like this dude is truly traumatized. You know what I mean? It just doesn't hit the same. I guess to me, I have to see the actual backstory through and through for me to be like, okay, this guy has really been through it. Saying it does not have the same impact as showing it. It's one of those things of like show, don't tell. I'm not using that as a criticism for the manga. I'm just saying I'm not as invested. Or under a celestial dragon rule. Do I die at the end of it? Do I die at the end of do I still die like with planet Vegeta if I become a slave for Frieza? Because if I'm a celestial dragon, there's like a high chance that at any point that I like even remotely show weakness, I'm just gonna get killed anyway. So I need to know about the Frieza stuff. Thank you. I've learned something. Mothers don't care for their kids just because they're parents. People only think something's important once they feel a bond. I feel a connection between Mira and her baby. But I was sold by my mother. That's because she didn't feel any love connecting her to me. I might never have a connection like that. Become a... okay, no, you haven't... That hasn't changed. See, he's telling me it. Killed by the planet explosion? How many years do I have as a Saiyan? How many years? Do I die at the age I'm currently at now? Do I have like 2 years, 5 years? Like, what are we giving me here? Because I might just do the Planet Vegeta thing. That kind of just seems like an instantaneous death over just being a slave under a celestial dragon. You bum. Imagine getting sold by a... That's just mean, dude. That's just mean. It's not right. It's still fucked up, don't get me wrong. Being sold by your mother is very fucked up. I'm just saying, like... this is one of those things that I feel like it would have been more impactful if it was show, don't tell. That's scary to think about. It's the dead of night. I can't see a thing. No provision till the work's done. Work like your life depends on it. Over here, Julien. It's amazing. Look up. Couldn't be you. Hopefully it's never you. Like in about 2 more years? Alright. I'll definitely choose Planet Vegeta then. That's 2 years of life I have left where I get to just have powers. You're telling me I have powers for 2 years? Sure. Under the assumption that I never learn how to hide my key and just take a ship and fly away? Sure. Wow. So, Julien, I was thinking, if we're ever released from bondage and gain our freedom, would you like to live with me? She's just that kind of a person. I have some degree of freedom with Frieza. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And you get powers. That's not really a hard thing to say, because with the Celestial Dragon, it's just, you will do as they say whenever they want it, no matter how difficult or stressful it is on your body. And if you go down at any point, they have every belief that they have the right to shoot you, and they will shoot you. You will die. With a Celestial Dragon, it's... With Vegeta and, like... Not Vegeta. With Frieza's army, I will at least have 2 years left to live. And I will have powers. With a Celestial Dragon, you're kind of just putting me in a position where I'm just going to be a slave. And that is just going to suck. Yeah, no. Just throw me under the bus with Frieza. I'll think about it. Hee. Thanks. Captain, we're being taken by the current. It's dragged us out of those waters. Celestial Dragon deserve all the crimes Dragon gonna do? 100%, I agree. Inconceivable, we took the route that should have steered us clear from it. This isn't anywhere near the charts you showed us. The place is drawing us in. It's whatever lives in these waters. Stop babbling. We just gotta lighten our load. We're going through with the plan now. Everybody up on deck in a line. You really need all us to sail? We got enough crew to manage the ship on our own. Then why gather us all here? Oh, shit. Mister, what have you done? Know what? I can't stand idiots who go through life without using their brains. Like you lot. An invalid, a child, a knocked up wench, and let's not forget the geezer. Save yourselves. An invalid, a child. Damn. I bought all you useless rabble together at a bargain rate. You're all defective goods no one would want to buy. But now if there's a little mishap, that changes things. You're my property, which means an insurance payout. That's the way you'll make me the most money. We're in waters where even the patrols don't venture. Nobody'll know what happened here. Run! Need I remind you to use your heads? Shh! You're shackled up in the middle of the ocean. Where do you have to run? Fools, kill him and throw him off board. Get behind me, kid. Make sure Mira is... Ooh, they took him out too. The rowboats. They put up a heroic fight, that's for sure. They all gave their lives to save the pregnant woman and child. Too bad it's all for naught, meaningless lives, worthless wretches who've accomplished nothing, but they'll serve a purpose once they've earned me a payout. Now, Kill them and throw them overboard. Yes, sir, Captain. Something's wrong. I can't move my limbs. Look at the rain. It's hovering in midair. What in the blazes is that? Which of you seeks my blessing? Jesus Christ. 1, an offering of myriad souls. 2, the loss of a heartfelt love. I shall bequeath my blessing upon whomever carries out both. Loss of heartfelt love. My first demand has been satisfied. The only one among you to satisfy the second condition is one of you two. What is this? And so I offer you the privilege to decide. Offer your life to me, the abyssal depths. Through your sacrifice, the survivor shall receive my blessing as well as power. What are you saying? What are you saying? What is this? What I am matters not. I am only here to give to one and take the other. What I mean to say is I will save one of you. Now make your choice. Which one of you will lose your heartfelt love? You'll save one of us, so one of us will survive. Yes, one of you may survive. I'll give you my life. Mira needs to have her baby. Find your happiness. Never again. I won't let one of my children die again. Take care of my baby, Julien. Please don't get hurt. Never ever again. It doesn't matter what happens to me. Please come out safe and live. Jesus Christ. Mira, it's a girl. Her name is Diana. I love you both. The conditions are satisfied. Now tell me your wish. Your power shall come from what you desire. What's the meaning of this? I can't move. Meaningless lives, worthless lives. Their lives and Mira's life weren't worthless. I want to prove that. As you wish, okay? You are free to move. We gotta take him out. Kill the monster and the kid. The octopus will fetch a high price. Okay. Captain, what is this? The worth of 100 perished slaves. Their power, their speed, their vitality, their reflexes. All now yours. So he's as strong as 100 people? Just wait a little longer. Ah. Cool. Oh, good. And through the neck. You let your guard down like the fool you are. I've won. What? What's going on? How is this a surprise? It's only natural that you would have 100 lives as well. I guess we're now to 99. Cool. What's happened? Inconceivable, damn it. Wait, I'll split the profits with you. How's 30% sound? A whole fortune. Just let me live. As if I'd agree to that. Use your head. You offered that which you love to the sea. From here on, the water shall never harm you. You will reach land within a day. You needn't row. The tides will forever be in your favor. Never in my life have I held something of value. Until now. Wow. That was certainly something. Huh. That was very powerful. On herself, crazy work. W mom. You need help. If you think, I'm sorry. No. 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 You are not going to sit here and tell me that this thing is kind of bad just because it has 2 boobs and feet. You're not going to sit here and tell me this thing is bad. This thing is a nightmare incarnate. How dare you? We are not doing that. Jesus Christ. I'm gonna go get some dinner. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. This has been fun. She gets hotter in the later chapters. I mean, the possibilities are endless. No, the fuck they are not. No, the fuck they are not. There are clear possibilities there that I don't even want to think about. This thing is a baddie, not gonna lie. You guys have problems. Each and every one of you that said that thing's a baddie has problems. Anyway, guys, I will catch you all later. Holy. We reached the peak of 73. Sweet. Dude. What do you think of the first chapter? It was pretty good.
am not emotionally invested into the guy himself. Fuck's his name again? What's his name? It wasn't Mira. Julien. I am not as emotionally invested into Julien because he did not give me... I have never known kindness my whole life. With that being said, it's not a bad concept. I'm interested in seeing where that goes. I'll give it up to like chapter 10. I'll give it up to like chapter 10 before I decide whether I'm going to stick to it. Guys, I hope you guys... Aw, damn. Well, it's good Planet Birthday. I hope you have a good rest of your day. I hope you had a good day. My bad. Happy birthday to the GF. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. I'll let her know. Reading your guys' comments about the Goku thing, you guys never read the manga. Maybe, sure. I hope you guys have a good rest of your night. Stuart Little on a skateboard solos Naruto? Sure, if you believe that. Sure. I don't think so, but sure. You still didn't address who thought Law solos Naruto. Who would have thought Law solos Naruto? It was just a turn of phrase. Son, I'm crying. Why are you crying? Anyway, I'm leaving it there. I hope you guys have a good rest of your night. I'm going to go have some dinner. Peace out. Take care of yourselves. And I'll talk to you guys next Tuesday.